Wasn't turning them on.
Budget, by the way, budget looks in comparison to free budget and my own. It's really solid. Everyone's in trouble.
It's going to be called to order. Open Public Meeting Act, according to Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting on April 24th, 2024 was sent to the Arts, Town, and the Record and published on January 21st, 2024, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the Rochelle Park website and Facebook, and has remained continuously posted as a required notice under the statute and is being recorded and videotaped. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Peachy? Here. Committeewoman Artola?
Here.
Committeewoman Judge Crivello?
Here.
Committeeman Miller?
Here.
And Mayor Passetti.
Here. Everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. This time, we'll let ask Dean take over, Police Department awards.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, and the Mayor, and any other committee member, including our police commissioner, would like to join me down here. I appreciate it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you very proud to be the chief of police here at Rochelle Park. I will show a brief video of 4 of our members engaged in a way that they're deserving of the Meritorious Service Award. Rather than bore you by reading the facts, I'll show a brief video, and you can determine for yourself if you agree that they deserve the accolades they're about to get. This occurred, I don't know who remembers, this occurred back on March 8th, just before 1 p.m. in the afternoon. You'll hear the calls for service coming into the fire department right now.
West State Street, the party is under vehicle. Rochelle Park Police, all members of the Rochelle Park Fire Department, response is requested 68 West State Street. The party is under vehicle. And now it's 12 at time.
For party pinned under a vehicle. It's obviously from the officer's body on camera. Right now you're getting a jet view outward. There's still a fire in the area. I got nothing out front. Poor Richie, you're about to not hit that.
6-1, did they give you better location?
I got it, Richie. Is that your spot? Is that your spot? You good down there, bro? Where's the jacket? Sir. Yes. Jesus. He's learning how to just the car. I'll try to pick it. Yeah. Wait. Is this on your shoulders?
On your shoulders, on my one side, and can you take the jack for the next? Alright.
Wait.
1, 2, 3. Alright. Wait.
You got another jack? special officer following meeting happens to be our resident mechanic, Mr. Webb. He's our motor guy. Love to take it. Not really, no. Real car yet? Yep. Was it just a little bit?
Yeah, just try.
I know, we got 4 guys.
Let's go. One, two, three.
With the jack, right? What do we have? Does Paramus have any issue?
Factory heckler.
Oh, shit.
Did you contact Paramus and see if their ESG pads in the jack? Or it doesn't need, but I got this guy out.
I don't like to criticize the volunteers for not getting up quick. I want to pass about 2 minutes. They're already en route. So your fire department, 1 minute, and your fire department is as responsive as your PD. It just seems like.
Like under two?
Hold up.
Or it's very rotten.
No, he's listening.
Sideways. How do you get up high enough so you don't hold it while he's cracking? He's not gonna get it.
You right?
Great.
Keep your eyes open. Yeah.
I'm still pulling out there, but we'll get the airbags on there.
You got a back on there.
Okay.
All right.
We're coming in back.
That's as far as I can go. It's our lead.
Hard start, just move a little bit.
Yeah.
Hold on. Just hold on. It's hard start.
Slides out.
Can you slide out at all?
Slide to the other side.
Seconds count, right? So again, thank you, gentlemen, for your response. So basically, if I can have, Detective Sergeant Jack is actually in Aruba celebrating Passover, so he was present, but if I can ask Detective Nick Racune, Police Officer George Oruela, and Special Law Enforcement Officer 2 Michael Colomini to come up. And Bill needs to be presented with a certificate that reads Meritorious Service Award, acknowledges that these officers have been recognized for meritorious service action for the events on March 6, 2024. They'll also be presented with a ribbon. If I could ask the mayor to hand these out, and you want to take the ribbons to hand out, Commissioner, that'd be great. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Michael.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you. Turn it over to you, Mayor. Bring up the fire department. Yes. Yeah, for Jeremy.
This time I'd like to do the fire department presentations. I ask for Assistant Chief Charlie Greco Jr. to come up.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I call firefighter Henry Mazzucchi to join me.
Thank you.
In a time when volunteerism is slowly declining, we want to honor Henry for 50 years as a member of the fire department of Rochelle Park. You can see by his ribbons on his chest there, he's been awarded many times, recognized many times, including the life-saving award for rescuing a resident from a house fire in 1976. I believe it was. So Henry, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with. We thank you for everything you've done for the department and Township. Congratulations on 50 years.
I just want to thank the town for honoring you like this, and the fire department. 50 years is a long time. I was 18 when I joined.
Thank you.
One last one.
All right, it's not by happenstance that Richie's Auto Care is here. It's not related to the video. But I've been a police officer in town for 34 years. Not as long as Hank, but a long time to be around. Richie's always been there for us, whether it's in the middle of the night, he needs to come and help us, or during the daytime, stop what he's doing, come plug a tire, whatever it may be. And, we started our community outreach program, the Top of Shop. But I thought it would 30 years to be working and helping the police department. He's done numerous jobs around the town as well. So, Richie Padula, if you can come on up. So basically presenting Richie's Auto Care with a plaque today. It says, in grateful appreciation and acknowledgement of 30-plus years of service to the businesses and residents of the community, Richie's Auto Care, with heartfelt thanks to Rochelle Park Police Department. So thank you very much. Now make a speech. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Had you been in the spot, that may not happen. All right, Mayor, thank you.
This time we're going to review the 2024 budget presentation. Roy? And Andrew. I can lift it right out.
Believe.
Andrew, I have to slide this, just let me know.
So this is the actual presentation. We'll then have the hearing of the budget, and then adoption, along with the COLA ordinance and self-examination. So this is the actual nut and bolts of the budget itself. Andrew?
As we have done it in the previous years, we've done a little bit of a quick presentation. This is based upon the introduced budget. That was the budget that was introduced at the last March meeting. The first slide here, well, as we always start off with an analysis of your assessed valuations. As you can see, in 2022, the assessed value increased approximately 12 million. In 23, it increased approximately 1.2 million. And then in 24, there's a slight decrease of 429,000. But basically, your assessed value remained flat heading into 24. It's always important to maintain a good tax base, because basically, the higher the tax base, the lower your tax rate would be.
On the fund balance, so in 2021, we had 3.5 million. In '22, we had 3.5, same basically. And then we jumped up $1.4 million this year. Part of that was the cannabis realizing the revenue. As you know, it takes a year before we can actually see that revenue hit the books.
Okay. Okay, the next slide is an analysis, or it's a comparison of your budgeted or anticipated revenues for the 2024 introduced budget compared to the 2023 adopted budget. The revenues for '24 increased by $492,000. That's being anticipated in the '24 budget. The township is utilizing or anticipating an additional $82,000 in surplus. It's anticipating an additional $318,000 for your municipal local revenues, which would include interest on investments and UCC fees. It's anticipating an additional $370,000 from the cannabis transfer tax fees. The $284,000 deduction was basically a one-time revenue last year for an insurance reimbursement that was offset with an appropriation. So there's no real reduction there. It was just, again, those revenues were offsetting an appropriation. And so, again, basically, the revenues that the township is able to anticipate basically increased approximately $492,000. Okay, the next slide is a little pie chart, and what that does is that basically shows you where the revenues are coming from, and I'll go clockwise, basically. Your municipal taxes represent 64% of your revenues. The surplus anticipated represents 11%. Your municipal local revenues, which again would be your fees and permits, your court fines, your interest, that's 5.3% of your budget. State aid represents 5.1%. And then the other special items, which include your cannabis transfer tax, cable franchise fees, property tax, property rentals, that represents 10.1% of the township's revenues.
So the opposite of revenue is your appropriations. The appropriations was gone over numerous times by the administrator and the entire township committee. So the biggest variances, I'll just highlight, you had your salary and wages, which basically encompasses contractual obligations that were settled in the last few years. The other expenses are $200,000. That includes maintenance and other fees. Insurance is up $21,000, but in that $219,000 is also insurance as well, the liability. We actually went down in bulk purchases, again with the police chief and administrative, between gasoline and going into some of the LED technology. We've reduced the electric and gas bills. The grants is basically a wash, even though it says negative 115. There'll be some more grants coming in this year. We're already aware of them, and we'll put them in as we get the money. Capital improvement funds is down $390. That's a good thing. We've basically have been taking the capital improvement fund and year after year just storing it for, quote, a rainy day. So we have that in place. That is really the bulk of the money. It's the insurance, pension bills, and contractual obligations. The next slide is basically exactly what I just said, but in a pie chart.
Okay, the next slide is it's a comparison, or it's the tax rate apportionment. Basically, your taxes are split into 4 categories. You'd have the municipal share, the library share, the county share, and the school share. Okay. The only portion of your tax bill that this governing body is responsible for would be your municipal share. And based upon the introduced budget, there was a 0.7 point increase on the municipal share, which would have been, which equates to a $23 increase to an average home assessed at $334,000.
Andrew, can I ask a question?
The $23, there's an amendment on tonight's agenda lowering that 23 to the $20 tax increase that I had spoke with the administrator about, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the 23 is going to go down to 20.
Yes.
Correct, thank you.
And basically what that amendment is reflecting is, in the course of the last month, the township received, there was a DCA legislative grant for flood mitigation. It was a $100,000 grant. So that's part of the amendment. So what happens with that is it's both a revenue and an appropriation, so there's no effect to your tax rate. And the other thing that is included in the amendment was the township anticipated $91,000 of ARP money that's going to be used as an anticipated revenue to offset police salaries. And then basically as a result of that amendment and the utilization of some additional fund balance, the township was able to reduce that average home increase on the municipal share only to $20 a household on the average home. And just with regards to the other components, your county, that's on an estimated 3% increase, and the school was estimated at a 2.3% increase.
And the final slide is the actual pie chart itself showing the apportionment, which would be the tax bill sometime in August. That's our presentation. Before we open it to the hearing, I just want to thank everyone on that dais for all the help. This budget began in September last year with the administrator. I've been here a long time now. I could say it's probably one of the best budgets I've ever been able to work with. And definitely the administrator, thank you, Dean, for all your help.
Thank you, gentlemen, and I can tell this committee, with that decrease to the $20, we see no decrease in the services that are going to be offered to our residents through our line items in the budget. So I'm very pleased with this budget, and I think it's one of the best I've seen
Can you hold it
in
down,
my short
please?
tenure.
Microphone's on, please hold down.
And if I may, Mayor, I look back through 21, there was a $23 average increase, 22, there was an $80, in 2023, it was a $33, and this year we have it down to 20. And again, the budget covers everything that I know we need to cover.
Where is this amendment that you're saying was brought down to $20? May I ask?
It's amendment resolution 024-109.
I don't see where it says it was brought down to $20. I don't. When was this added to the agenda?
Amendment. It was done on Friday.
Where does it say it was brought down on the 20? I mean, maybe I'm looking something wrong. Are you talking about in the current funds? You're breaking it down in that? Where are you showing?
We've made some changes that's going to bring down the average from 23 to 20.
Right.
Right, I
And I
will do that,
understand you
working
said-
with the CFO and the auditor over the.
What was it brought down from?
23.
No, what brought it down?
It was the utilization of around $9,000 of additional surplus.
And we got the additional surplus from where?
That was the township's fund balance at 12/31/20, 12/31/23, the fund balance was $4.9 million.
Right.
So we had originally used $1,685,100 in the introduced budget. In the final adopted budget, the amount of surplus that's going to be used is $1,694,100.
Okay. All right, let me understand a couple of things too here. If I may? Good? Okay. So, I know there's been questions about income from the 120. So I asked for a chart of what the the revenue that was coming in here. Did you get that chart? This chart shows it for any revenue that's
Pilot?
the
Yeah.
pilot.
Kathy, do you have that?
So Kathy Cerisi was very kind to go through all of this and make sure that we can look at anything that was audited or whatever we have. And we have for different amounts for 20, 21, 22, 23. And it went from, in 2020, went from 226,000 to, in 2020, and then 2023 went to 301. And I'm understanding this is not including the occupancy,
No,
Amount.
this is a different project, right?
correct?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the
This,
grass.
this is
That's
just,
across the street.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This is,
23 doesn't have the occupancy.
Correct.
Kathy, can you please,
Open is 1.4.
I'm sorry?
1.4, we will have the occupancy.
So that'll increase that as per the pilot at a percentage when it's full, is that what I'm understanding? Or clear, near to full from what I read, right? So it's full. That would be then in 25, we're talking about. So right now, the taxes that are collected on this is for the land.
The
Only.
apartments is land only.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The apartments is land only right now.
Okay, so this is showing a slight increase from 2020 to 2023. You gave me the analysis of, right?
Yeah, so the taxes received in 23 are what you would have used when building the budget for 24, knowing what we took in.
So this is what we're using for this budget, the 24?
Well, no, this has nothing to do with the budget. This was a separate project you had asked about.
I did,
That 120 was not,
with the occupancy, right? So the land, Kathy, the tax that you just explained to me for the land, right? It's at 301, right? So
Yeah.
733. What the question I think I brought up before was asking about having it, yeah, she's going to show you.
This is just related to storage.
Yeah, but it's all the property, land taxes, plus the storage. So next year it's gonna be all this increased by the tax
So can you
rate.
say that loud so everybody
So
can
in
hear?
2024, the amount will go up by the tax rate that's established in June or July, depending when the county establishes their rate. So the land taxes will go up. Then we'll have the storage facility and the apartments. We will have their revenue portion of it added onto the calculation.
Okay.
So
And you're going to be subtracting from what I
we have
understood?
to subtract the credit for the land taxes paid as off their 10%. So,
So they're going to give the 10%, then you have to take the percentage off of that.
Mhm.
So it will increase
well, it's
revenue.
going to increase, because the storage right now increased 58,000, so
Right.
it's going to be at least that,
Right.
plus whatever the apartment's occupancy gross revenue is.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not including with the occupancy rate. That's what we're looking at to make sure that'll show up next year.
This just includes the storage facility.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now the rest will show up next year. So that's not included in this budget. Got it. Okay. The other question I have is,
I might as well.
you have here on the revenue of cannabis. Do you see an increase on that revenue with quarter or no?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The cannabis,
Yes.
was there an increase in revenue in this quarter? or
I can
no?
answer that.
Please.
Yeah. So, because I see the checks as they come, and there's been a de minimis downtick to those revenues coming in, but
From the cannabis.
a negligible amount at this time. We're fortunate, correct. We still, I know from speaking with other administrators and other municipalities will call and say, what did you get? We far exceed them. But there is a slight downtick, which again, the industry predicted 3 to 5 years, you would see a downturn in the market as more dispensaries opened up. So we're seeing it, but it's a minimal amount, thankfully,
For now.
for now.
For
Correct.
the, I mean, you're looking at your first quarter, right? Your
Yeah,
first, second
yeah.
Quarter of
Correct.
that you're going into. So now you're seeing it because of, in my opinion, others opening, you're going to have a decrease, right? So, all right. Let me see what else. I think
Roy, Andrew, Just to confirm, because I brought this up last time. So it costs us $175,000 to hold court in Rochelle Park, and we're bringing in around $125,000 in revenue for court, so we are losing around $50,000 holding court. Is that correct?
It's a good assessment for 2023.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I may, Mayor?
Yeah.
And we have a new judge, and we also have a new prosecutor who are working much better. So I'm hoping to see, and our judge is holding people's feet to the fire, as opposed to our previous judge. It's a little different mindset, as is with the prosecutor. So I'm hoping to see that change. But we'll know throughout the year. And I know March's numbers were up.
Yeah. Well.
Any other questions?
Do you want to open up?
Yep.
You can open up you want to open up, make a motion, to open up a hearing to the citizens on the budget?
On this matter only, at this time, like I said, when the motion open this up to the public.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Committeewoman Otolik?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Petrie? Yes. Committeewoman Gil Fravello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor
Yes.
Again, for the public's benefit, this is a hearing on the budget only. There'll be another public portion later on for other issues.
Linda Boniface, 33 Parkway. This is in all reference to the budget. Mayor Bassetti, how much is the 2024 budget?
How much is it?
How much money is it?
2024 budget?
Yeah, this budget you're going to approve tonight, how much money are you spending in the municipality? No, I want you to answer it.
I don't have to, I got the CF right.
No, you answer
I
it.
don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to because
I don't
you
have to
don't
answer
know.
you.
You don't
Okay,
know.
that's good.
You don't know.
Very good.
Go and read more and wave your gun around
Okay.
again. Gail, since you're the longest serving member on the Township Committee, how much is the budget tonight?
So it's estimated around 14 million.
How about 15?
It's 15. 15 to 54.
In 2 years, this Township Committee has increased the budget in the township by $1.9 million, almost $2 million. And that was due to cannabis. And instead of saving for a rainy day or controlling spending, you spent it all. You increased budgets all over. What would you have done if you didn't have cannabis money? Because you originally fought against it.
I voted for it.
You fought
I
against it.
I vetted it very well because it was something very
You
new.
fought against it because
I
somebody
voted-
told
I never
you
voted against it.
misinformation and you never checked into it. The CFO said everyone's wish list is done. I'll start here. Teresa, what you asked for in the budget?
I did ask for an increase. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because I know this microphone. I did ask for an increase for the seniors, $5,000 to their budget, which brought it up to 12.5.
It's about time.
Yes.
Tommy, can I ask you what you asked for?
Yeah, I asked for Access for All to finally have a budget, and they're going to have $7,500 this year.
Nice. Mayor, what did you ask for?
Tree committee budget.
$7,500. Gail, what did you ask for?
I didn't have any other specifics.
You don't have any? Yeah.
No, I was in agreement with what was added. I didn't have any other specifics.
Jen, what did you ask for?
Shade tree, and I agreed with Teresa for the seniors.
And that's it?
Recreation.
Yeah, recreation. What's the 10,000 for recreation? What did you appropriate it for?
It's for them to do more activities.
Yeah. But you have nothing specific you appropriated it for.
Well, they're going to try and do more activities with the kids.
Try
And
it.
for the residents. all
Okay,
residents.
thank you. Then you asked, how can we lower this budget? Well, you appropriate, and appropriate without having a reason for it. I told you last year, this is needs and not wants. And what would you have done had you not had the cannabis money and the money that came in from building department? It's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
The drop in the capital improvement fund, you only put 100,000 in. Last year, you at least put in 200,000. You don't think about the future here in town? Because the cannabis revenue will go down as more cannabis facilities open. sheet 18 of the budget. Can somebody explain to me over expenditure of appropriations 2022, $191,557, page 18? Does that have anything to do with page 90 of the 2022 audit, which I tried to point out? Does that have anything to do with that? Does anybody know what it is?
Yes, that was, the 191,000 was the result of unrecorded liabilities at the end of December 31st, 22. It was one oversight for the insurance, which was almost, it was 100,000 of it. And the bottom line is the insurance wasn't accrued at year end. The money was available in the budget line, it just wasn't encumbered at year end. So that turned out to be an audit finding, and it resulted in $191,000 of over expenditures, which then had to be raised in the 24 budget.
Okay, we're gonna go to the police, and this is why you keep an administrator and a police chief separate. The budget in the salary and wages in 2023 paid for an officer's terminal leave or retirement. It was put in salary and wages. It wasn't taken out of the fund that's created for that. So that didn't drop. The wages and salaries this year are $3,150,000. An increase of $165,000 from 2023. Vehicles, the lease of vehicles is up $45,000.
As we knew it would be, as you lease more vehicles, and, or we could have bonded for $110,000 a year to get only 2 cars where.
Well, you went up 40, so that's probably 4 cars. You went up 45,000, so that's probably 4 cars, correct?
Oh, no, it's probably about 8.
It was 75,000 last year. This year went up 45,000. It's only about 8 cars.
It's probably, I could go through them, there's probably more. Between when you were a committee woman, the pickup truck, the 4 to 5, 6 marked cars, yeah, the fleet's turned itself over, but our vehicle maintenance has been reduced.
I'm sure you're getting one of those new Tahoes. The fire department is getting $40,000 in equipment. Does it also, on top of the $67,000 grant?
At this time, 3 minutes is up, just wrap up your last
It's
question.
in reference to the,
Okay, just wrap up
it's
your
in
last
reference
question.
to the.
I'm only saying wrap up your last.
And I don't think that's allowed with you. Everybody in the committee got the same vote. You're just the chairman, not the mayor.
Okay, still 3 minutes for public.
I'm asking about the budget.
Okay, still 3 minutes.
So is it up and on top of the $67,000?
The $40,000 was put in their budget because they have about $40,000 worth of anticipated maintenance that's required to be done under NFPA guidelines, et cetera. So we had to give them that money.
Is that on top of the $67,000 grant?
The $67,000 grant is limited for, what the $40,000 was put there for is not the same purpose as what the grant is allowable. Excuse me. So the grant's only for the cascade system.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Hold on.
No, your 2
I'm
minutes
still
is still
asking, Mayor, I'm asking about the budget.
Okay, and your time limit's up.
I'll hand off questions to everybody
That's
else.
good. You could do that.
You're a loser.
Thank you.
And listen, wait a minute. Do yourself a favor. Practice the agenda before so you know what it is.
Thank you for you.
Got a good running mate coming.
Thank you for your words, Liz. Next, anybody else from the public like to speak?
Hi, everyone. Mike Warren, 181 West Oldest Street. I just have a question about what the money for the shade tree is for, because I'm at a complete loss as to what your ideas are, since we're not doing a commission. And I've been asked to provide a cost analysis, which the CFO is right here. I'm sure he could provide a cost analysis for what, I don't know what I'm being asked to create a cost analysis for. I don't think any other group in town has had to create a cost analysis. And if they did, maybe they've had a professional do it for them, but I don't understand what the cost analysis is for. If the committee, if whatever the group is being given $7,500, I still don't know what the group is supposed to do with it. So I guess that's my question as far as the budget is, what did you ask for it for?
You're asking me? Yeah, so.
Why are we asking Dean? I think, hold on, no, hold on, this is my time, hold on, guys, I don't want to be that way. But here's my issue. My issue is, last November, Michael, we want to do it. Shade Tree Commission. Michael, no one wants trees. Now people want trees. Michael, no one volunteered. Now we have 6 volunteers. Now I have to do a cost analysis, otherwise we can't do a Shade Tree Commission. Do you kind of get where it looks like every time I accomplish a task that you ask me to do in regards to this commission or committee or whatever it is, there seems to be a new roadblock. And I'm trying very hard to pinpoint where it's coming from. Is it coming from Ms. Apice, who we have had plenty of conversations on the phone and in person about a Shade Tree Commission? Is it coming from Mr. Bissetti, which we know, we've had conversations about it. You said, Michael, I don't have an issue with it. That's the honest truth. We've met. What's your name? Oh, Mr. Miller. Sorry. We've had conversations. Yes, I know, it's there. We've had conversations. You're for it. Ms. Judge Crivello, we have had conversations. So when I
was for it.
And you are for it, yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, yes. So now you can see why I feel like there's something else missing or hidden that is keeping this from occurring, and then I'm getting a mixed signal. Here's money for this thing, but we're not going to do this thing entirely. And I think it's time, this is the meeting where I have to say why I'm feeling this way. And when you turn to Dean, it signals to me, I don't know if it signals to anybody else, you're the roadblock, perhaps. I'm just saying, perhaps.
Actually.
So go ahead. So again, I just walked down the budget meeting. I wasn't here before for anything. I don't know if anything else was discussed. But I am very confused.
If I may, Mike. Yes. I'm a non-voting member up here.
Don't tell me that, Dean. I know what the administrator's power is. I was up there once before, you know?
You get an operating and expense budget like every other committee, like recreation, right? They use it to buy supplies for training and education, etc. Whatever option is there, or if it's a committee, if it's a commission, it's my job to administrate how it gets spent and what it's used for. It is funny, though, I did get reached out to from the chief of River Edge PD, who advised me of their change in ordinance in River Edge, that they went to a shade tree advisory committee, and I actually find this ordinance, and I gave a copy to every person up here, to be very useful because it answers a lot of your questions. What's your authority? What is it you're supposed to do? I would strongly suggest you take a look and read this.
Well, in order for me to take a look at it, I have to be given to it.
I get it. So it's River Edge, literally just passed it 2 days ago.
Right.
Because we talk at chiefs meetings.
Correct, yes. And our arborist is from River Edge.
Correct. So
yes.
they just switched to a shade tree advisory committee, and it lays out basically, again, the design plan of it. So I think it helps you in that regard, and it helps me because I'm like, I don't know what a shade tree committee's going to do versus a commission. I have no idea.
Right.
It's not something within my purview in years past, but so whether it's a commission, committee, I don't care. Like you, right. I want to see trees planted, and this is a memo from our DPW.
Two things is what I want for the town.
We now have a budget line item.
Correct, yes. 2 things I want for the town. I want to work with the town, and the volunteers who we are able to get together want to work with the town on that. And we want to be able to access grant money that we would be able to come back to Rochelle Park. That state grant money is our tax dollars.
So some of your line could be used to pay the grant writer to seek those grants.
Okay.
Right?
All right. So if someone can email me this document or whatever. Oh, you have a copy?
Just have your information wrap up with it.
I'm done with the budget. I'll be back later, though.
So I just want to answer you really
Yes.
quick. Okay. One of the reservations I had, like I expressed to you, is as taxpayers, we put a commission in place. Here's all the pros. we need to know the cons.
Right, and we went over that,
So we
yes.
went over that. One of the issues I have is the cost of machines that we're gonna need, because that's gonna come eventually.
At some point, perhaps.
Maintaining, perhaps,
But,
hiring
Jen,
DPW employees.
I spoke with Dave Brown about those concerns, only because you brought them up, and I don't take them lightly. You know, these are machines that we could rent, and I think that when we met as a group
The
2
public,
weeks
please shut it
ago,
down. Linda,
think-
that's twice I asked you, please.
I
shut
think
it
when we
down.
met as a group on April 3rd, we talked about, we understood that the older trees were going to be left the way they are unless something really has to happen with them. But we were more interested in planting and training the new trees that are going to be planted, hopefully. You know, I know these big trucks, but I spoke to Dave at the last meeting. I'm sorry, I'm saying Dave's name, but I'm going to say Dave's name. We can rent those. Like, there are places, and Dave said last year, we did rent those things for certain issues. So, like, I get the issues about the cost, but tonight you're going to pass a budget with pros and cons, costs and incentives, let's say, for the things you make a priority. You have the police chief up here who's got a voice up there. So I see a lot of first responder stuff, which is fine. I don't care about that. Like, I think that's great. It's wonderful. I'm not against it. But every one of you up there has a voice talking to you about what they need. And nobody, it sounds dumb, I'm going to get laughed at, but nobody talks for the tree canopy. And if I have to talk about the tree canopy, I'm fine doing that. But yes, there's going to be a cost, there's going to be a benefit. So I'll take a look at this document. I just want this to be effective. I want to be collaborative. And I told you all up there, I know who I am in town. If you don't want me on the commission, I'm fine with that, as long as there is one that starts, and I can go to the meetings and bother them. But I'm just saying is that if it's me that's the problem, and I've said this to Dean too on the phone, I'm okay going away from it as long as it's for the town, and it helps the town, and it gets us some trees in the ground. And I've said that to all of you at some point.
So I printed out, doing a little bit of research,
Yeah,
Paramus. And
Yeah.
that's from last year.
yeah.
But it's them discussing folding their
Linda,
shade tree
please,
into
that's it.
DPW because of costs it incurred on taxpayers. These were some of the things, like I said to you, I wanted to do research and find out.
Correct.
Because as taxpayers, we're saying it's not going to impact us.
But we know,
What if-
we never said it would be no impact. We know everything we do in town has an impact on the taxpayer, because tonight you're going to pass a budget that's going to, increase a lot of budgets in this town. That does increase that. Listen, I don't use rec, but I'm glad to pay for it. I don't use the school. I'm glad to pay for it. Why? Because it makes our town desirable. It makes our property values better. And I kind of trust most people up here, just about everybody, to do the right thing. And if we don't have that, then things are really bad. But we can't, if we're going to say one negative is going to outweigh 10 positives, then I have a problem with that.
No, I want to just make sure the decisions we're making are not huge decisions
Right.
that can negatively impact us,
Okay.
potentially.
So,
Where
No, hold on,
something that's,
yeah,
right now is not an issue, but 5 years from now,
right.
it's going to be a huge issue to
Right.
the taxpayers and a huge burden where
Yeah.
now our taxes are going to triple and quadruple because we didn't do our due diligence.
Right.
That's the only thing I'm telling you is I want to just be comfortable
Okay.
with my answer and do a little research and understand.
Okay.
I'm not saying no.
We're,
I
we're,
want
we're
trees.
we're fine walking it slow, but I don't want to walk slow into nothing, right? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
The last point I want to make is that, again, this shade tree group should be a resident-driven venture. I don't want to rely on PSE&G or developers to tell us when it's time to replace our tree canopy. Dean, I'm still waiting for Oldest Street. You told me in April, the week of April 3rd, that they'd be here next week to plant PSE&G. I hope you have an update later if I didn't ruin your report for you.
Not at all.
I was just going to say, so that $7,500 would be the budget for the Shade Tree Commission. And the Shade Tree Commission would outsource to develop a forestry management plan. They would have the training, and then we would be eligible for significant grants. But they would be limited to that $7,500. Any grants that they could get would further expand our forestry program within Rochelle Park. So we could still be limited to that $7,500. There's townships within Bergen County that have a population of 3,000 people that still have a small commission. We would never have a commission the size of Paramus. We could still have a small commission and be eligible for significant grants to beautify our town and also propel those benefits that Mr. Warren just mentioned. So I still am going to say it's leaving money on the table by not pursuing it.
I also, if I may, also want to say, and I understand your point, Jen, and I understand that, you looked into it, so did I, and I think Mr. Miller and a couple of us looked into it. What you're doing is you're projecting 5 years down the road from what I just heard you say, right? You're worried about the cost factor for a taxpayer. I understand that, and that is, I get it. We need to get, from what I'm understanding of all the training that I've had so far, and the last meeting you had, it would be better for the commission, if it was a commission, to get grant money. It would be easier, she said something to that.
Well, we would have to be an accredited group to go to I'm very willing to do the training, all right? And once we have that training done, if it's just me, it's one volunteer, one employee, we would be accredited to be able to go after that grant money to use as we please. Yes, we would have to pay for a grant writer, et cetera. To do the forestry plan, to do the reforesting plan, the state gives you a matching grant to pay for it. So I want to make sure that this allows us to do that, because the worries you have, Mr. Piche, is that how do we control this, right? So it doesn't become unwieldy. The plan that we developed together, Township Committee, DPW, Shade Tree Group, Town Administrator, we can develop a plan that satisfies the grant money people who want to give us grants while keeping things realistic, let's say, right? Not exploding them into something big in 5 years. As long as this gives us access to that, then this is a road that we can go down. I just don't want to leave that money on the table and not have a plan, which is a 5-year plan, which is what was said at a meeting. And we can make that plan however we'd want to make it. And that's why I think the collaboration process is key, according to our arborist. So that's why I think hopefully that addresses that concern. So I'm hoping this does. Mark, I'm going to ask, did you look at this at all, or have you not?
Briefly, I got it recently.
Okay.
I will continue looking at it, and you can always reach out to me.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you. That's fine. Thank you very much. I took up a lot of time. Thank you.
Samuel Bouveron, 26 Pardon Court. I have one quick question.
Sir, can you repeat your name slowly one more time?
Samuel Bouveron, Bouveron, Pardon Court.
Samuel Bouveron.
My question is regarding the flood mitigation project. On February 8th, Team Rochelle.
So, I'm sorry, sir, just for the budget?
Yeah, my question is related to the budget.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, my question is very simple. Is there any line in the budget related to flood mitigation?
Yeah, there is, in the amendment, that you have a grant, a DCA new grant for $100,000, that's specifically for flood mitigation.
Okay, and what are we going to do with this $100,000?
That I would need.
So that is limited by the grant from the legislature to state to be used towards the sewer pump station and the flood mitigation surrounding that project.
Okay. Any other grant are we looking for?
There's been no other flood mitigation grants other than elevation grants available.
Okay, because I hear that other towns are getting some money somehow, and I'm questioning why this town is not pursuing any other avenues to fund flood mitigation.
We continue to apply for every grant that we can.
So which one have you tried to apply for?
Sorry?
Which one have you tried to apply for?
Again, we got the elevation grant for the homes.
Yeah, this is not really preventing flood. I'm going to give you a couple of facts. This is the 25th anniversary of Floyd. Okay.
I was here.
You were here. Good. Floyd, the risk factor of Floyd happening again is about 40% in the next 15 years.
No doubt.
Okay. Irene, about 47%, and Ida, 49%, if I recall well. Okay, those were billions of dollars in cost to New Jersey. What I'm calling flood mitigation is investment to prevent basically the Sprout Brook and the Saddle River to affect the residents of Rochelle Park, and this is $1 million of investment, not $100,000 of investment.
So, if I may, Mayor? As you're aware, I've attended numerous meetings with surrounding towns, including Lodi, South Hackensack, Wallington, Saddlebrook, with members of Senator Lagana's office, Assemblywoman Swain's office, as well as our federal representatives, and had us told to our face from the Army Corps of Engineers, your project will never happen. And that's involving all those municipalities, mayors, as well as administrators that were in the room. But we continue to push our legislators, both locally, on the state level and federal level, for more funding, and it probably happens weekly, that we send emails and make phone calls. So no, we all understand that hope of one day, whether it be dredging or the build of locks and dams along the Saddle River and the Sprout Brook, but like, as you said, sir, I had, just Sprout Brook alone would be over $10 million. So we reach out to our representatives, because Rochelle Park can't foot that.
Of course, yeah, we cannot, as
So
a town.
we continue to do that.
As a county or state, we can. And in fact, I've done some economic study, and if we were to raise a, so you're talking about the raising the homes, the Blue Acre program has, I'm going to say, helped hundreds of homeowners, and the bond to help those homeowners since 1995 has come to $340 million. Okay, with $340 million, you could fix the river and the Sprout Brook. And you know how much this 2-year bond would be for the taxpayer in Bergen County? Bergen County is about 1 million residents. You know how much it would be? It would be $15 per resident per month for 2 years. $15 per month
You should
per
attend the
resident.
county commissioners meetings.
I did.
Good.
I did
Good.
about
Good
2 weeks
for you.
ago.
I applaud you.
I did about 2 weeks ago, and I'm intending to come back again. And if I may, can I know who is the pushing back on getting the flood, I would say the river fixed or dredged?
Who? The Army Corps of Engineers.
The Army Corps.
Flat out told us, their representatives flat out told us, you will never rank up there with the New Orleans, the Miamis of the world. Sorry, Bergen County. That's pretty much what we were told.
The Army Corps is the blocking point at this. Okay.
They will only go where their legislative dollars point them, is how it was explained to us.
Okay.
So just so you know, I did reach out to Congressman Pascal's office about these grants that you're talking about, other towns, surrounding towns did receive. Once they reopen for this year for the grant, Rochelle Park is eligible to apply, and we will be applying.
And when would they reopen?
They haven't said it yet, but I reached out to his office 3 times, and I got a phone call back from them.
Because from my understanding, the budget for the state is due June 1st, I think. Is there any way that
Yeah, that's a federal one, that's not.
the state, New Jersey State?
Congressman Pascal's.
I was at the
This is a federal grant that we're looking for.
federal grant. Okay.
Yes, so I've been reaching out to them, and I did get a call back. So once we get that email, or Dean will get the email as the administrator.
Okay.
We can then apply for the grants, because I've been inquiring about them, why other surrounding towns are getting it, but not Rochelle Park.
Okay.
So we are pushing up here, we're all pushing for these grants.
Is there any way we can get some visibility of the actions that you guys are doing? Because we residents, we don't see anything. And to be honest with you, is the flood was 25 years ago. I've been a resident of Rochelle Park for over 15 years, and I haven't seen anything changing.
Well, that's the Army Corps.
No, I mean, I don't want to blame anyone. I just want to see visibility of the actions that is being taken by our town. I want to make sure this is a major topic for the residents. You're talking about shade and tree committees. You're talking about beautifying the other towns. But if every other year you have a storm, all your beautifying project will be washing down the other river. So the first thing to do is fix the river, fix the flooding.
I agree.
And my last question is since the New Jersey state budget is due June 1st, is there any way we can, I would say, submit a request for a grant, or for some, I don't know, some kind of funding to help fix the issue?
I'll look into that.
Yeah, we've done that.
I mean, another fact that I want to throw out there is the Sprout Brook is a major problem for Rochelle Park. 98% of Sprout Brook is in Paramus. Unfortunately, Rochelle Park is in the last 2%. And we are, I would say, suffering the brunt of this brook. Where is Paramus in the discussion?
don't think it affects Paramus.
It does affect Paramus too.
The flooding?
The flooding does affect Paramus, especially the Garden State Plaza, yes.
Oh, the plaza and the parking lot.
Yeah. But have we contacted the Paramus officials to help, I would say, fixing the brook?
Why, we have no jurisdiction over Paramus.
I know, but we can make a call and say, look, the 98% of your brook is in the municipality of Paramus. Unfortunately, we're at the end, and we are suffering from, I would say, all the concrete and asphalt that they have put along this brook.
Well, that we have.
I mean, I see a smile on your face. I'm sorry, but
Sir, you all of your 3 minutes just wrapped up, because keep going.
I'm trying to understand the actions that what we have done as a town to get this major issue fixed. So, please, Mr. Pinto, please.
Mayor, would you like me to answer the last question? I mean, we've sat up on this dais for numerous months now talking about, we sent Boswell Engineering, did an entire study of which the Garden State Plaza reimbursed us for, so it wasn't at your expense as a taxpayer, looking at the stormwater runoff of the recent development. The Borough of Paramus approved the project. They don't care, and nor should they, as a government agency outside their border, right? It's unfortunately, that's the way governments are. You asked again about the Sprout Brook. I told you I have an estimate about $10.5 million from Boswell to do some work that Bob Davidson started many years ago on a small basis to expand that project. It's not going to eliminate the flooding. It's only going to eliminate some of the flooding. It's never going to make it all go away, unfortunately. $10.5 million is a lot of money. We just don't have to do it. I've, again, reached out through numerous legislators, our assembly people, our state senator, federally, asking for help. And I gave you the answer, and I don't like it as much as you don't like it. But nobody's going to give us the money to do that project. And if the Army Corps of Engineers were to even, because they started this project in 1986, the DEP may finally give approval. Your EPA is not. Your federal agencies, they're going to come and say you're touching too much sediment. So unfortunately, we have to live within our means as a municipality and learn the best way to cope with these flooding situations. Nobody's given us a magic elixir or a magic wand or a bag of money, unfortunately. But we continue to ask, and we continue to pressure our elected officials. And I respect that you went to the county. I ask that you call your assembly people, call your senator and your federal representatives as a resident and taxpayer and say, hey, more needs to be done.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Dean, really quick, where did we find or discover that $100,000?
So that was a former committee person, Committeewoman Boniface, had sent me a Facebook post from another municipality in southeastern Bergen County. I immediately kicked that over to Senator Lagana and Assemblywoman Swain's office, and they said, you're absolutely right, we will get you a $100,000 grant, and they did.
And who followed up on that with?
Well, I continued to follow up, and I also went to Committeewoman Crivello, amongst numerous other people on this dais.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell you that I have talked to legislation as well as Mr. Miller, and we do follow up on that. Thank you, Ms. Boniface, for starting that. And, we are able to put it in here, into the budget. I did look back on my Friday report for the $20 amendment that you're talking about, which is this $100,000 grant. The backup wasn't there until it didn't come through on Saturday. I didn't get it on Saturday. It came through on Monday. The backup for this paperwork came through to me on Monday. I don't know about anybody else. But with that being said, I mean, it's $100,000. It's a start. Millennial can help us maybe going forward with grants. We can actually ask them. And, of course, we all should be contacting our legislative people and our county people as much as we can to get us going further for grants. I do have one more question about this budget. Dennis, is that all right?
Yep.
The statutory expenditures that you have for 2023 to 2024, public employee retirement system, sheet number 19, first line. For your appropriations, it went down on it.
Right, that's the PERS piece of it.
Right, so that went down.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's clarified, that, we didn't have an increase in that, but I do understand, speaking to you, Mr. Rigatano, I understand that you had said the insurance went up 17 or 7%?
The actual group insurance is up 7.2%.
Okay, and then that's the group insurance. The other insurance went up also.
Even higher, workers' comp is 20%.
20.
Liabilities don't fall from 25.
So that,
Or more.
I'm sorry?
4%, 25% more on the
So-
liabilities. That number?
I believe that's on page. Yeah.
14.
Yep. Issue 14?
Yep.
So the liability actually went down, roughly 9,000, but we did have some money reserved from last year's pay, this year's bill. The insurance premiums also was down a little bit, but the big number was the group insurance at the 7%.
So you're talking about the workman's comp and the group insurance?
Yes.
So the group insurance went up
300?
300,000.
No, because you have a piece that's outside of the cap from
hold
next
on.
year.
Tell me what it went up.
Plus,
So you're at 1.5 plus 2. 1.6. So basically, you're pretty flat with the group
oh, with
insurance.
the out of cap.
Right.
So it didn't go up.
It went up, but we were able to absorb some of that cost through the budget as well.
That went into the budget to absorb.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
This time, nobody else is from the public, make a motion to close public portion for this.
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Oh, and Emery stepped out.
Comes back, yes,
Yeah.
Amber stepped out.
She was just getting the document, I think. I think she's getting something. a little bit.
Where's she going?
She's right here.
Close the public portion.
Who made the motion? I seconded it, right? I made the motion. Oh, okay.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor
Wait,
Pucci?
I'm sorry, what are we voting on?
We're closing public
I
portion.
can't really hear, it's kind of hard to hear. Thank you.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Pacini?
Yes. Self-examination of budget. Mayor notes that the CFO has certified the township has met the requirements for a self-exam of the 2024 budget. Self-examination of budget, whereas NJSA 48-4-70B has authorized the local finance board to adopt rules that permit municipalities in sound fiscal conditions to assume the responsibility normally granted to the Director of Division of Local Government Services of conducting an annual budget examination, and whereas NJAC 530-7 was adopted by the local finance board on February 11, 97, and whereas pursuant to NJAC 530-7.2 through 7.5, Township of Rochelle Park has been declared eligible to participate in the program by the Division of Local Government Services, and the Chief Finance Officer determined that the township meets the necessary conditions to participate in the program for the 2024 budget year. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Rochelle Park that in accordance with NJAC 530-76A and A and B, based upon the Chief Financial Officer certification, the governing body has found the budget has met the following requirements. One, that with reference to the following items applicable, amounts have been calculated pursuant to the law and appropriated as such in the budget. A, payment of interest and debt redemption charges. B, deferred charges and statutory expenditures. C, cash deficit of preceding year. D, reserved uncollected taxes. D, other reserves and non-disbursement items. F, any inclusions of amounts required for school purposes. 2, provision of relating to the limitations of increases appropriations pursuant to NJSA 48-4-45.2 and appropriations for exceptions to limit on appropriations found at 48-4-45.3 sequence are fully met, complies with the cap law. 3, that the budget is such form arrangement and content as required by the law, by the local budget law and NJAC 530-4 and 530-5. 4. Pursuant to the local budget law. A, all estimates of revenue are reasonable, accurate, and correctly stated. B, items of appropriations are properly set forth. C, an itemization form, arrangement, and content the budget will permit the exercise of the comptroller function within the municipality. 5, the budget and associated amendments have been introduced, publicly advertised, and adopted in accordance with the relevant provision of the local budget law, except the failure to meet the deadline, the NJSA 4-5 shall not prevent such certification. 6, that all other applicable statutory requirements have been fulfilled. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Director of Division of Local Government Services. Can I ask for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Petrie? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Becerra.
Yes. Mayor calls for a motion to adopt resolution number 024-108, waiver of reading in full of the 2024 budget. Can I ask for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ask for a second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Petrie? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes. Mayor calls for a motion to adopt resolution 024-109, amendment to the 2024 budget. Ask for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ask for a second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Petrie? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes. Adoption of the 2024 municipal budget. Mayor calls for a motion to adopt resolution number 024-110, adoption of the 2024 municipal budget.
I just want to point out that there was a typo on the resolution, so just so you know, it's 2024 budget.
Ask for a motion being made.
I'll make the motion.
Ask for a second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Petrie? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Be it resolved that the governing body of the Township of Rochelle Park, County of Bergen, that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $9,803,157 to be raised by taxation for municipal purposes. $408,049 minimum library tax and $5,143,701 general revenue for total revenues equaling $15,354,907.
Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Do we have to walk?
We have to make a motion to amend the agenda to add the walk-on. Emery, if you want to explain the walk-on.
So we have a walk-on resolution that came over late this afternoon, actually early this evening. Resolution 024-117. There are copies up there for the public. It's a resolution authorizing the Township of Rochelle Park to enter into a shared service agreement with the Borough of Maywood and Hackensack University Medical Center. And it's pretty much the same agreement that we had with Hackensack University and the ambulance. It's just that we're going in now with Maywood.
If I can, Mayor. So this is, for lack of a better term, because I know the word creates angst in this room, and I get why. It's a pilot program, and it's basically a trial program between HUMC, ourselves, and the Borough of Maywood in sharing an ambulance. Right now, we share an ambulance with multiple agencies. While it's housed here in Rochelle Park, there's one housed in Maywood. This would allow Hackensack University Medical Center to reassign the vehicle and to see that it's not problematic. Any one of us, any one of the three entities can get out of this agreement at any time. I have several stats that were provided me by Hackensack that shows even with simultaneous dispatch, they were able to respond when there was such events within the time frame allowable under our contract with HUMC. It's no harm, no foul, because within a week, if I see delays in an ambulance, or if we learn of any delays, we can just call and say, we're done. We don't want to do this program anymore. And I thank our township attorney for recognizing that wasn't in the agreement and to getting it in there.
Yeah, my office, I reviewed the agreement. We sent it back to the other parties, and unfortunately, we only just got it back today. But the revisions that are requested have been accepted, and Dean explained the issues. So I have no issue with this resolution being walked on at this point. So assuming the township committee is in agreement, you would need a motion to amend the agenda to add resolution 024117.
I have a question. I see that you said it's a pilot, right? And I'm looking at, this is the first time I got this, by the way, just letting people know. So, first time I think we all got the walk, right? So, I do believe you said it was a pilot, and it originally dated April 2018 and extended by a minute. Then this is March 9th, 2023 is hereby extended to October 31st. So we have this short period of time to see how this is going to work. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. That's the length of the pilot. But even prior to that, if we find that there's any issues or adverse consequences, we would still be able to terminate.
What happens after that?
Goes back to reverts to what it is right now, which is basically the ambulance is being stationed here right now. This allows it to be stationed here and in Maywood. If for some reason, beyond what we're foreseeing, that becomes an issue for us, we would be able to terminate it, and then the ambulance would continue to be stationed here, which is what's currently happening.
But the ambulance is stationed here now.
Correct.
But you're saying it would just be between Rochelle Park and Maywood?
Yes.
Either or stationed, either or.
Correct. Right now, the one station in Rochelle Park is responsible for numerous other municipalities.
I understand.
Beyond Rochelle Park.
So
this would be a pilot program to see if one can be shared between just Rochelle Park and Maywood.
And after this pilot date that you have, we could continue on with just sharing of Maywood and Rochelle Park. Is that in the?
That would be subject to an initial agreement if we wanted to do it.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
we have a contractual agreement right now at Hackensack. This basically allows us to operate outside of that on a temporary basis to see if we want to make changes. At the end of the day, we have a contractual
And
agreement with
basically, I don't know if you said it or not, it's the response time that you're looking at.
Correct.
Correct? So we want to make sure that this is what we're looking, because right now, that ambulance from, I think it's 5 other towns or something, 2 other towns besides here, and this would just take it down to 2. And response time, which is critical in many cases, as I know, maybe work well. So, thank you for this, by the way.
Thank you. So, assuming everyone's okay, Mayor, you need a motion to amend
Approval of the agenda with the walk-on 024-117. The actual motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Deputy Mayor Pucci? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Besetti?
Yes. Discussion, a letter from planning board for ordinance 1199-24.
So if you recall, if I may, if you recall, we had sent this was in reference to the homes that are being elevated through the FEMA grant. Our construction code official said, hey, there's some things within our construction or within our town ordinance that we want to change to allow these people to exceed certain heights if they need to. And change the length of their stairs, right, because now their deck may be higher than it originally was. This committee, through the advice of council, sent this to the planning board for review. This is their answer back, right?
Yes.
I have spoken to our construction code official, James DiMaria. He's absolutely 100% okay with their recommended changes and proceeding forthwith.
So assuming everybody's okay with those changes, my office can go ahead and make those changes to the ordinance, and it can be placed on the agenda for adoption, hearing, and then adoption at the next meeting. In the event anyone reviews the planning board's letter and has any additional questions or discussions, you could obviously feel free to reach out to my office. But I'm in agreement with the township administrator as well as Mr. DiMaria and the planning board with regard to these revisions.
And this is going to be 2 reads because it's an ordinance.
So we
did an introduction already. So in between, because it's zoning, it needs to go to the planning board for review and revisions, comes back to us. We can make those review revisions, and it'll be placed on for hearing and adoption.
Okay, because we already have.
Because it's already been
Because it was already introduced.
Got it. So you have to make a motion.
I don't need a motion, as long as I know everyone's okay. The motion will meet at the next meeting when it's open for hearing and adoption.
This time, let's open up the administrative report.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I'm extremely proud to announce that the Township of Rochelle Park received the 2024 Gardella Safety Award from our joint insurance fund. It's a $1,300 cash award, and it's for lost time accident frequency rates being so low. Just as congratulations, and this is from the GIF. Dear Mayor Vassetti and members of the governing body, congratulations. It was great pleasure that we write to you to formally congratulate the Township of Rochelle Park as the recipient of the 2024 Safety Award, recently presented by the South Bergen Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. Suffice to say, both administration, rank and file employees of the municipality should be recognized and commended for their steadfast efforts to safeguard and improve the work environment from a safety perspective, for making safety a key component when executing their duties. The municipality's lost time accident frequency underscores the safety culture that has been established. And with that, Mayor, I would ask that this committee consider, and through the CFO, that I take a portion of that money and maybe, since it's the employees that are the ones acting responsibly and safely, that we maybe provide them with a barbecue or something to honor their commitment and efforts towards the town and towards safety. I'll move on. We also today received because we don't get many thank yous. We don't get many phone calls saying thank you. Again, kudos to our DPW. They went out to pick up some white goods from a resident. She felt obligated to call and make sure that we understood. She offered drinks and sandwiches to the employees, and they absolutely would not take it. Acknowledged the kindness of the residents, said thank you so much, but we're unable to take such things. We're just here doing our job. So again, kudos to the DPW. That team has been stellar. We handled the walk on Rezo. I'll move past that. Excuse me. Howard Avenue update. I know there's been a lack of work. Unfortunately, like all things construction, sometimes when you dig a deep hole, you find deep hidden pipes. So we've run into some utilities that are in the way of that project proceeding forward. Boswell and his engineers are out there in the process of looking at what we can do, whether it's depth change or movement of these utilities. So the work has had to stop, obviously, for safety reasons. We don't want to damage anybody's sewer, water, electric, or gas, rather. So that's why there's been a slowdown down there. Look to hope to see some work within the next week or two. We've been having some complaints over at Dorothy, Gertrude, and Pleasant Avenue, specifically a couple of residents were talking about the seepage pits. I just want to bring to this committee's attention, Boswell's water expert has looked at the ground saturation levels, but I've asked for a boring study. It's a nominal fee, just to put my mind at ease, and hopefully the resident who's complaining, explain to him that the groundwater table has not changed due to seepage pits. The only thing changed is the amount of time water sits on the roadway, but I'm going to authorize a boring study to confirm what the engineers have already told us. The man has a PhD in groundwater systems, and I trust it. Sound system, recording system. We had some issues today with the court. We continue to hear complaints that nobody can hear. I've scheduled BIS Digital to come out in early May without them even looking at the system and just giving us some options. I don't know what the cost will be, but I know we looked at this a few years ago, and it's anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000, depending on how high tech we want to go. So I just bring that up to this committee. It's probably something we're going to have to, bond for when we do general improvements for the building. Trees, since Mr. Warren brought it up. I do like trees, Mr. Warren. You know that. And you're right about PSE&G, and I just looked back at my email. I was told on April 5th within the month. So I may have mentioned the April 5th date. That's when I received the email within the month. I've already texted Dave, and tasked Dave with getting on them and getting that done sooner than later. I did ask the Public Works Superintendent to submit a memorandum to myself at the request of Committeewoman Artola. I don't know, Committeewoman, do you want me to go through this?
No, go ahead. But yeah, we have to.
And basically, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. We do have $10,000 still in the capital improvement fund for trees. Dave has looked at, planting at least 20 trees from PSE&G, and then adding an additional 25 trees. And I do have a list of residents that do want trees. Dave keeps that list, it keeps it current. So we are in the process of doing that. There are some added costs, and again, this comes from our arborists, things such as gator water bags. So when you plant the tree, it actually has some water. Deer guards, apparently highly recommended by Liz, our arborist, because the deer will destroy these saplings, destroy these trees It's a nominal cost, but it's a cost nonetheless. Root barriers as well as stabilization stakes should they be needed. I'm just going to jump to the bottom of the total cost is approximately $8,800 for Dave to do this program. Then that's an approximate. It could run over that. So whether we have to get a few less trees or not, but it's a start, Mr. Warren. I promise you. And I believe that's all I have, Mayor. Wait, let me flip over. Yes, that's all I have. Thank you.
Dean, so just a status update basically on Boswell. Where they started digging, they had a map though that should have told them where those pipes were, right?
Not necessarily. Excuse me, Mr. Miller. So yes and no, right? Everything has to get marked out. What the mark out won't tell you is how deep down that pipe is. So they'll know, up there's conduit running from left to right here. It's going here. As they dig, it's within the area that we needed to put the drainage pipe. Nobody would know that. PSE&G records don't have that. Yola, United Water, etc. You know, that was as deep as the laborer wanted to put it at that day. So that's the kind of problem we run into. Not so much there was no engineer, or there was an engineering flaw. That's not it at all. It's a matter of, again, back when those homes were built in the 40s, 50s, where that day the utility put that pipe out deep.
Did they give you a projected date of when they can resume work?
I'm hoping within a week or two.
Okay. And the resident on Pleasant Ave, that's a complaint that they're seeing more flooding or pondage that previously wasn't there, or?
We'll say this. March of 2024 was the 5th rainiest March in the history of this earth. While they kept those stats, that resident said, hey, my sump pump's never run before, now it's running since you put these seepage pits in. So on behalf of the township and doing my due diligence, I tasked Boswell with saying, prove that that's not the case, that it's just the 5th rainiest March that made his sump pump. Listen, you don't put a sump pump in your home if you never got water, but I wanted to make sure, so we'll do those boring tests to confirm that. To move the seepage pits was something I asked if we could do. Both the contractor and the engineer were like, they'll be useless at that point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Pinto, I also have a question about the Howard Avenue thing. I know there was trees that were cut down. And I did speak to, as a matter of fact, I spoke to Mr. Brown. They weren't cut down, they were started. The one branch is cutting, they were cutting. Yeah, they were cutting. Go down that way, you'll see. But anyway, long story short, I understand there is some money left that we can replant some trees after that project on Howard Avenue, right?
I can't say.
There's not a lot of, I live on Howard all my life. There's not a lot of trees that used to be there. And there's still not a lot of trees that are there right now. And so we're cutting some down. I'm sorry, what did you say? You don't know if we have enough to have the trees?
Well, I won't know, obviously, until the project's complete, if there'll be extra money, but if there is, trees are definitely
well, we're
something
talking
on
about trees.
Something on our radar. There's something on our radar, right? We could do.
Right, so we want to keep that, and if whatever's left over from the other trees they say we're getting, maybe we can also do something like that.
Absolutely. I just don't want to sit up here and say, oh, yeah, we'll have the money, because I don't know that.
We don't, of course.
But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. If there's trees from PSE&G that can be moved to Howard Avenue, we can do something.
That would be great. Thank you.
It's part of the project.
It's part of the project.
Part of the Howard Ave project.
I
So the
think
ones that were
it wasn't put on.
kicking up,
Probably have the other contract.
it was the other contractor.
Okay, wait a minute. In the contract for Harvey Avenue, it was put in.
Correct. That was.
I'm not sure if it was put in. It was not put in Howard.
It was not.
No.
That was.
So that's why I'm saying we have to watch with the trees for Howard. And going forward, I believe we have to make sure on any projects that is going to be looked into. Am I correct, Mr. Brown? All right, thank you. So it was not put in Howard.
Yes, I was not part of the initial stage of Howard Avenue.
We're setting the record, right?
Correct.
So now you're going on to Harvey, which you have to go to Harvey to get to Howard, or you can actually go in the other way too. But one of the main roads is Harvey. That's the next after Howard. We're going to be doing all the seepage stuff and the whatever sewer things that are all sitting in the barrel things. And that's already projected to have those trees.
Correct.
But it was not for Howard. So if we can maybe keep a few, if possible, in case anybody wants some on Howard, because Howard was all trees.
That's what we just said, we'll do the PSE&G trees.
Oh.
I can't take from Harvey to give to Howard because Harvey.
No. The extra that you have.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, I said that.
Right?
Yep.
So there.
And they were or out of,
Well, Mike wants like 7 trees by year.
I don't want to interrupt your meeting, but I will. I have so many ideas to help you raise money for those trees too. Like, trust me, this morning I got a ton of pictures sent to me randomly from a bunch of people in this room and not in this room. Michael, they're taking the trees down in Howard. And I said, oh, isn't that the project? No, it's Harvey. I said, that's why it's Harvey. So I'm disappointed the trees are coming down in Howard without any plan. But I have some ideas if we want to pursue them at some point. So, Dean, if you could send me how much a tree costs, like from whatever one it's gonna be.
Yeah, because they vary by tree.
That's fine. And then I have some ideas, but thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
If I may also, if you don't mind, Mayor, and I know the attorney's been working steadfast on it, we're going to see a tree ordinance, correct, Mr. DePisa?
Oh, yes.
That's required from the state, and yes, it's going to be beneficial to the township as well.
So that's a DEP
So there's
requirement, correct?
there's a DEP ordinance that has been sent to us in a number of municipalities that we must implement. My office has been working on it for the past couple of weeks to make changes, to make sure that they are changes that better fit our town. I've circulated that to the professionals to get everyone's approval, Dave, as well as our engineers. And once it's at a place that I'm comfortable with it will be circulated to the Township Committee to review in anticipation of being adopted in the next 2 meetings. But it is significant. There's a lot that it has to do with. Mainly, it's about the DEP doesn't want people to just remove trees of a certain size at will. There needs to be a reason, a basis, and the DPW superintendent has to be informed if the tree is of significant size to make a decision whether or not a person is removing that tree, and it's not going to have adverse impacts on the municipality.
And a big part of that's going to be, Mr. DePisa, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is there going to be application fees for the removal of these trees? And I asked that this township consider those application fees as a part of a way to replenish with new trees. That's all I'll say. So if you want to cut a tree down, whether you're a taxpayer or not, yes, you paid your taxes, you have to pay an application fee.
But I understand that there are stipulations to this too. If there's something wrong with the tree, if it's a danger,
Sure. We'll talk about it.
exception stipulation, whatever you want to call it.
That's all in there, and it is a I want to say a fully thought out, provisional wise ordinance, and so that's why I'm going to send it to everyone as early as I can, so you guys can really take a look at it. But it is DEP driven, so it's something that we need to do.
And we have no choice. It's
No,
mandatory. It's going to be mandated.
No, it's mandatory. We have to get it done.
Right.
Yeah, we have to get it done very soon, actually.
Yeah.
So,
And Mr. Warren, you'll see it, it's actually the River Edge ordinance.
Yes, I've been reading it.
yes,
And
River Edge passed it.
volunteers would be happy to have that conversation with anyone who will listen to us at some point if you decide to go, whatever we're having to go down.
And I think you now want, if reading it, you understand why I'm happy to bring it to this township committee to give it a good overview, give it a good look.
I understand.
Thank you. That's it. I hope to be done.
Yeah. Move on to committee reports.
The beautification fund also exists, correct? We're aware.
Committee report, Commissioner, Tom Miller?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, I got it. All right, so the senior meeting was April 11th, and they had 2 speakers from the county, from the Board of Elections at the Burton County, and they brought with them to the senior meeting a couple of a big voting machine sample and a lot of ballot samples to show the seniors how the machine works. It was done with a presentation on how to use the new voting machines, and there was a question and answer period that followed. The next senior meeting is tomorrow, April 25th at 1 p.m. As far as the school, yesterday was the school board meeting last night, and the Board of Education, the principal, Dr. Carmichael, announced the students by name who achieved high honors, first honors, and honorable mention. And they're on the honor roll for the 3rd marking period, and there was approximately 90 students that received these honors. So congratulations to them all. Also at Midland School, they received, the music department received music I'm going to get this right, the National Award for Outstanding Support of Music Education. And that is the first time the school has ever received, from what I know and from what they stated. This is an extraordinary award. It's a national award that chose certain music teachers, music areas, and gave them this distinctive honor. So congratulations to Ms. Baker and Mr. Kemp, who received this award. And the next school board meeting is next Thursday, May 2nd, and that's when they will be doing their budget presentation. So now I have DPW. Okay, and like always, they're always going and doing everything. And there's a few things here. They picked up litter in parks and town properties. They started spreading the mulch. I don't know if you saw it out front. And they're going to be starting to plant the flowers within the next couple of weeks. It's too early, really, to plant the flowers right now. You got to wait for the frost and everything else, right? So that'll be coming up. The sewer systems, they do a spot check on a weekly basis for clogs and any other problems they have. There was 3 calls for sewer backups, which they took care of. The street sweep went out for 14 hours. They continuously cleaning the sewer lines, and they're flushing all the lines. In some instances, you may notice a smell in the area when they're flushing the lines, which is totally normal, not a problem. And he's now doing down District 4, which is down by the maze, as they call it, and then you're going to go over to 3. You're going to finish up over here on 3. They did the shredding event, which was Saturday, which was very well attended. I happened to be here for the Team Rochelle Park with the pickup, and I saw the shredding, and it was quite popular. There was a lot of people there, so it was a good turnout. And you guys were involved in that. That was this past Saturday. The next one is September 28th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's a little far out, but I might as well say it now. They also prepped Matthews Field for opening day, Rochelle Park Baseball, and assisted the rec department picking up supplies for this event. The stormwater coordinator report says he has checked off the storm drains after recent rains, and he's cleaned off the drains. And just reminders that on Mondays, curbside pickup for recycling for metal. Electronics is pickup every 4th Wednesday of the month. And household hazardous waste event will be held at Bergen County Camp 4 Reservation on Saturday, May 11th from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. rain or shine. So that's coming up. So that's for hazardous waste event. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. In March, the court issued 422 traffic tickets and handled 28 criminal complaints, resulting in a total court revenue of $18,371 for the month of March. Last Thursday, Access for All and Heart to Heart hosted a workshop. This was led by Val Lombardi, Heart to Heart's Assistant Clinical Director of Community Outreach. The workshop provided Township employees and volunteers with valuable insights on inclusive and equitable communication strategies when engaging with young people with autism. Thank you to all who were in attendance. There is a great opportunity to explore local history this weekend. You can tour 12 Northwest Bergen museums for just $10 on Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Kids 16 and under can enter for free. And for more information, please visit www.nwbergenhistory.org. On April 30th, Access for All will be holding an Autism Awareness Ice Cream Social event alongside Team Rochelle Park at Heart to Heart right here in Rochelle Park from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It will feature karaoke, video games, a sensory gym for kids 12 and under, outdoor fun, coffee, and more. Do not miss this wonderful community event. Lastly, the library is conducting a survey aimed at gathering feedback from Rochelle Park residents and non-residents on their library usage, satisfaction with services, collections, facilities, programs, and staff, and to identify areas for improvement. You can fill out the survey by going to www.rplibrary.org or scan the QR code on the library entrance. There's also flyers up here in the front on the round table, which has that QR code. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Committeewoman Gail Thrower?
On March 30th, I met the Easter Bunny at our annual Easter egg hunt. It always amazes me that it takes the hunters less than 1 minute to collect over 1,000 eggs. Thank you to all the volunteers who made this event possible. I attended baseball's opening day. We had so many players this year, varying ages, and it was an honor to cheer them on. We wish them to have a fun and safe season. On that same day, I conducted a ribbon-cutting ceremony with the mayor and deputy mayor for Catcourt Construction. They had a fun celebration with employees, families, and friends. We wish them much success in Rochelle Park. I attended the local emergency planning committee meeting led by our Office of Emergency Management, Pete Donatello. We discussed ways to help our residents to be informed and prepared for potential emergencies, specifically flooding. Our annual flood awareness program will be on May 30th. Please attend and please spread the word. It is so important that our neighbors who live in the flood zone area attend. April is National Preparedness Month. Our message is be prepared, not scared. We want all of our residents to be ready for emergencies, especially flooding. Here are some interesting statistics that we are aiming to change. Almost everyone is unprepared. Studies show that 80% of people do not have a home evacuation plan, and another 60% are not aware of Rochelle Park's alert and warning systems or evacuation shelter and reception center at Midland School. Floods are the most common hazard we face. Since 1945, our records show that over 33% of our township is impacted by flooding. Valuables aren't valued. More than half of Americans do not own copies of their important documents, like house titles and birth certificates. Floods are incredibly expensive. Flooding events have an average cost of $4.7 billion, and the NFIP calculates the average claim to be $52,000 per event in the United States. I participated in the Office of Emergency Management tabletop exercise. At a tabletop, a complex scenario is presented and the participants have to determine how they will address the emergency. It started with a video of a breaking news report stating that there was an earthquake and a portion of Route 17 collapsed onto Central Avenue. The police, fire department, CERT, and DPW had to state their immediate actions and devise their plans for rescues, mass notifications, debris removal, calls for mutual aid, evacuations, shelter, security, transporting civilians to a remote location, and emergency operations center activities. They had to document the information, make leadership decisions, and communicate the action plans to their teams while communicating with each other. Thank you to all who participated, and thank you to the tabletop planning team, especially Lieutenant Stapleton, Lieutenant Kukowski, and OEM Pete Donatello. I conducted a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Delford Apartments. I had a tour of an apartment and the multiple common areas for the residents. There are indoor and outdoor places to gather, conference rooms, small individual huddles rooms for those who work from home. The outdoor deck includes an outdoor kitchen, 2 grills, multiple fire pits, and a pool. I met some very happy residents who love their new home. I also got to meet the youngest resident of Rochelle Park, a 1-week-old baby girl. For the fire department, a total of 1,532 calls for service were answered for the month of March. 197 motor vehicle stops were conducted with a total of 517 summonses and warnings issued. 44 suspicious persons, vehicles, occurrences were investigated. A total of 15 adult arrests were made, encompassing 47 different criminal charges. The criminal arrests were highlighted by the arrest of an individual for narcotics distribution at a local hotel. A subsequent investigation led to discovery of an illegally possessed .45 caliber handgun loaded with hollow point bullets. Social media followers, please pay attention to our new online campaign, Cops and Shops. Each Friday, we will utilize Facebook and Instagram to feature a business in town. Officers will highlight business owners, products, services offered, and post a message from their proprietors. Any business interested in participating, please message us on social media. During the month of March, Captain DePretta, Lieutenant Stapleton, Detective Sergeant Shakin, and Detective McCoon participated in the Read Across America campaign at Midland School. Sergeant Cobb and Police Officer Bueno provided safety, security, and youth interactions at the Recreation Department Easter egg hunt. As for announcements from the police, as the spring season approaches, expect an increase in roadway construction. Please subscribe to Rave Alerts and our social media platforms for traffic alerts, detours, and advisories. And the department continued to expand capabilities of our team with training in many facets of the job, including Sergeant Galena attending crisis intervention training. Police Officer Kiska became a state certified drug recognition expert. Our detectives attended financial crimes training, and the entire department completed their mandatory yearly LIFO training. Chief, you talked about how much training has become more and more, so it's great that they're doing all these different and varied trainings. On the administrative side, we continue to expand our recruitment effort through advertising on the police app platform. This is closed now?
It is closed.
Okay. And to our fire department, congratulations to Henry for 50 years. We used to be neighbors, and I remember his stories, his multiple stories of the fire department, so we thank him. And congratulations to Richie for his 30 years. Years ago, my aunt and uncle were staying with me, and they had car trouble, and Richie came to the rescue and got them back and home, and they had a safe ride to North Carolina. So we thank him for his years of service to the residents and to the Township of Rochelle Park.
Mayor, if I may, just to piggyback off of the police commissioner's report. You may recall a couple of meetings ago, we had a resident come forward complaining about the speeding on Crescent Street. We've concluded our study. The 2-week study showed that the 85th percentile, which is the national requirement for tolerance of speed, the 85th percentile is 23 miles per hour and 24 miles per hour. We've had a few outliers but we have over 90% compliance with the speed. That resident was contacted by Lieutenant Kikowski. She was advised and very appreciative of it. Again, when Committeewoman Artella mentioned spring, more of you are going to be outside. You're going to see vehicles that you believe are speeding. I always say to call the PV desk. If you can give us a description, tell us the date, time. If you can get a license plate, that's even better. But perception is not always reality. As these studies have shown, I have yet to have one study shown that shows the residents' beliefs were correct, that there's mass speeding going on. So again, I'm happy to use the technology that we were able to get. Again, through different avenues, the most recent being the development in Maywood when we required them to buy these measurement devices so we can use them at no cost to the taxpayer. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Mayor?
Recreation, Rochelle Park, Rochelle Park Day has been scheduled for May 18th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Carlock Field with a rain date of May 19th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Recreation will also be hosting its first movie night under the stars on Saturday, June 22nd at 8:30 with a rain date of June 23rd at 8:30 as well at Carlock Field. Baseball season has officially started for both Little League as well as the Royals travel team. Please watch social media for game days and times, and please come out to show support to all of our players. Rochelle Park Razorbacks has posted about looking for volunteer coaches for the fall program, and they will be opening up registration within the next few weeks. As far as finance, I just want to thank both Roy and Andrew for the budget and for working with us. I want to thank you both for working with us and getting it down to the $20. It actually comes out to $1.66 a month for the residents, which I think is fantastic. It's the lowest it's been in a very long time. So thank you both for working with every single one of us up here and the residents, so it's not impacting us tremendously. Thank you.
Construction report, March 24, permits issued 34, UCC inspections 71, total value construction $272,248. Permit fees collected $51,172. Permit fees waived 0. Zoning permits $1,350. Zoning inspection 7. Zoning application 16. Zoning violation was 1. Continuous certificate of occupancy $1,825. Standalone inspections 20. Property maintenance violation issued 12. Complaints 97. CCO inspections 13. Total fees collected $54,347. year-to-date revenue of $172,237. Fire report, the Rochelle Fire Department responded 24 calls in the month of March. Members logged a grand total of 337 hours in the month of March. Members logged in 125 hours on calls in the month. On March 24th, 2024, Rochelle Park Fire Department was dispatched to Maywood for a reported house fire. Crews assisted with ventilations, overhaul, extinguishment, and salvage. On Sunday morning, March 24th, Rochelle Park Fire Department, along with the Paramus Fire Department and several mutual aid partners, conducted a walkthrough of the New Valley Hospital with the tour led by the Paramus Fire Prevention Bureau. Walkthroughs are essential for pre-planning because they help responders familiarize themselves with the layout, fire protection systems, elevator types, and locations, along with other key factors. Valley Hospital opened Sunday, April 14th. Any attorney's report?
Nothing from me. Thank you, Mayor.
Clerks?
So our deputy clerk started last Monday, and she's fitting in very well, and she already took her CMR classes, so she'll be taking her test to become deputy registrar. Tomorrow is her exam.
Very nice. I've also tasked Michaela with helping with the social media, so you've probably seen an increase in the social media posts from the Township's Facebook page. She's also created a Township of Rochelle Park Instagram. I'm thankful for the help. And so, please, to our committee members, if you have something you want to share via our social media, whether it be Shade Tree, Access for All, get it over to myself and Michaela, and we'll get it out there. But yeah, she's, if you walked in the office, you saw there's a lot less clutter, so Michaela's been very helpful thus far. So we're glad to have her.
This time, ask for motion open for public portion, all items.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
This time, public portion is now open. Please keep it at least 3 minutes. And please answer the questions at the end of the public speaking, so I have a chance to answer all their questions.
Good evening, Francine Pasquarello, 32 James. On that tree that you're talking about from the DEC, can they put on there that your neighbor can't cut your tree all the way up?
So I don't want to speak about.
That destroys trees too.
Yeah, I don't want to speak about the ordinance directly unless it's in front of the township committee, because it's got to be put on for introduction, and then you'll have the opportunity to have a hearing before its adoption. With regard to neighbors cutting trees, there is, I'm certain, an ordinance that deals directly with that with regard to property maintenance. I have not viewed our ordinance, but I know from experience that in other towns, if your tree is encroaching on your neighbor's property, limbs or whatnot, I know there are ordinances in other towns, I have not reviewed this one, that allows the neighbor to trim the portion of the tree that's encroaching on their property. Not portion of the tree that's on your property,
Oh, he went into it a little bit.
but a portion. If that happens, then you let the zoning official know or the code enforcement know, and then they'll be able to come out there and take a look at it.
Yeah, well,
But-
I don't think they should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I didn't review our
literally trimmed my
ordinance.
tree. I made sure that there was no, like there was no limbs, interfering with wires.
Mhm.
I always did that. He just did that out of spite.
I mean, if there's something that's being done that you think is in violation of the township ordinance, then, you gotta let the code
No, it
enforcement
wasn't,
officer
but why
know.
can't we change it? So that he
Well,
can-
I don't know what we changed. I haven't reviewed the ordinance yet. I have to take a look. And regardless of what the ordinance says, it's possible that someone's doing something in violation. If they are, then you gotta let the code enforcement officer know, file a complaint. I believe we have that online system as well, if I don't, Dean,
Yeah.
will you be able to file that complaint if you think so? So changing the ordinance or not, if someone is doing something that's in violation of an ordinance, then you should
Well, it
report that.
wasn't, and I know it wasn't,
Mm.
but that doesn't mean I was.
I can't imagine that we have something that permits someone to cut trees on somebody else's property. The only thing that I can imagine, like I said, is if the tree is encroaching over your fence line. Dave, I don't know if you're, I don't want to put you on the spot because I haven't reviewed it either. But if a tree,
No.
It's more of, it's your.
That's
property line, it's your property line.
Probably case law. Yeah, you have aerial.
They go up from the line. So again, so Dave is just refreshing my recollection. You have ownership interest in your own property.
The tree's
What
too
about
big,
the
it's not
overhang?
gonna die in.
Yeah.
That's the type of-
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give legal advice, but you have ownership
No, I
of
know
your own
that.
property.
I'm just saying, it's really sucks, but anyway.
I
All right,
understand.
just wondering if that was part of it, and if not, maybe
It's
you could
not.
put it part of it.
No worries.
Hello again. I emailed some of you on Sunday following a car hit. I was running and a car hit me on ShopRite. A car basically exiting the parking lot. Unfortunately, it was the fifth incident in 1 week of running, fifth close call. I've been very, very concerned about this, and I was wondering if there is any way we can set up some kind of advisory committee for the road safety, pedestrians, bikers, runners. I'm part of a running community, and it's not the first time I hear this. I'm not sure if any of you are runners in the streets or in the park. It's in the streets, and it's not only Rochelle Park. It happened to me in Maywood. It happened to me in Paramus, and sometimes actually in the email I stated I stop at I'm running on the sidewalk. I stop at the light. I wait until I get the white walking man on the traffic light. I get it. I engage running on the crosswalk, and the car cut me off. So there is a complete disrespect of, I'm going to say, of pedestrians and runners. I think there is also a speed factor. People are angry or driving their car faster. I'm not sure. I don't know if there is any way we can put or any strategy we can implement to calm down the driving in the area. And lastly, have you guys been interested or look into the Vision Zero or Target Zero issued by the New Jersey state, basically meant to make our roads safer? No?
Are you asking anybody specifically? I don't want to take your time to 3 minutes.
I'm done. I would say my question is can we consider setting up a advisory committee for road safety representing the pedestrians and looking into the Vision Zero?
Don't we have a police officer that works directly with the public safety?
Yeah. Lieutenant Kukowski, the one who's provided the speed study, shows there's no speeding on our side streets as talked about. The Vision Zero initiative, I think that's still in its infancy. And all the roads you've mentioned and are county roads. They'd have to be the ones to tell us, hey, we're going to start doing this. And again, because I read your email, if you recall, I tasked the county with Complete Streets type program for the Rochelle Avenue project. Again, that's the only one coming forward on a county roadway to add a bike lane for the Rochelle Park corridor. We received their shared service agreement. We're going to continue to look at it, and these are things we do. We ask the county as well and push them. And unfortunately, it comes down to the answer of usually, budgetarily we can't do it. Doesn't mean it won't be done, but I hear you. There are some things that could be changed. Traffic fatalities are up. Fortunately, in Rochelle Park, we're not. We're down. We've continued as a police department. Lieutenant Kukowski, you can absolutely reach out to Lieutenant Kukowski, express your concerns. I received an email about 5:30 this morning from a resident. By 7:30 a.m., Lieutenant Kukowski was in touch with that resident, and this was a side street issue with a newspaper delivery person. So we take every complaint seriously, and we'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Linda Boniface, 33 Parkway, still the budget. According to the cash receipts for the town, which I opened, $957,000 came in on cannabis. The CFO was saying $850. He put $50,000 away. Where'd the other $57,000 go? Don't know.
I wish he was here to answer that.
Yeah, I figured that. But what I want to point out to you is There shouldn't even be a $20 increase. With all the revenue this town brought in on cannabis alone, there shouldn't even be $20. But when you give $10,000 to him, 4% for 5 years on a contract, you keep hiring more and more here, that's what we're paying for. I wonder if with these new hires, are we back doing payroll in the town? Or are we still using Elmwood Park? Can you answer that?
We still use Elmwood Park.
Still using it. Well, that's good, really good. Anyway, there should be no, and I'm disgusted that you voted to pass this budget and think it was good. Roy says the same thing every year. This is the best budget and the best time, and all the time I've been here. I could go back to the last year's budget meetings and he'd say the same thing. But all I gotta say is with the $957,000 in cannabis revenue alone, there should have never been a tax increase last year, and there should never be a tax increase this year. But increasing the total budget of the town by $2 million, it seems a way. This is a 1 mile square town. We're not growing. Just because one building opens up, we're growing, we should hire another police officer? No. No. We're 1 mile square. Our footage has not grown. From 2010 to 2020, in the census, we grew 284 people. That's it. We're a mile square. And I understand there's going to be building. You'll be surprised how many developers are going to come up and buy property, because this is a town that's just giving it away. Now, I understand that with the pilot, they get to minus off their land tax. I never heard of that. I never caught it, and I read that pilot a lot. I never caught it. So I don't know where that came in, and if I missed it, I'm sorry. But to now find out that they get given back, they get a credit on their land tax they pay, that's horrible. Does anybody else get a credit on their land tax? No. Another thing, when 17 comes along, you're going to lose ratables there. You're also going to lose the ratables when they develop the Ramada Inn, which I know it's a pet peeve for me, but you'll probably give them a pilot. And there was a little over $100,000 in hotel fees you're going to lose. So I hope the cannabis stays up, because I don't know what you're going to do if the budget, you don't make the revenue and you still got this big budget. There's no conservative. You're not Republicans and you're conservative. Not at all. The only thing you're afraid of is hanging flags. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Chris Nowell, Nowell. I live in Fort Lee, actually, but, you know, I do frequently cycle through Rochelle Park on my way to and from and through Saddle River Park. And just, you know, in being out running and cycling and walking, I've really become increasingly aware of the dangerous conditions present on many roads, particularly on county roads, as you pointed out, in our neighborhoods. And so I co-founded Bergen County Complete Streets to encourage the county to adopt a complete streets policy to improve safety, access, and mobility for all users on our county roads. And I shared the support letter with you today, but not Mr. Pinto, so I'll make sure you get it.
It was forwarded to me.
Okay,
So
perfect, perfect, yes. And so, you know, what we really need on many of our county roads are traffic calming measures. You know, that speed is a major factor in frequency and severity of crashes, and vehicles are getting bigger and heavier and quicker. And traffic calming can include things like speed humps, pedestrian bump outs, road and lane diets, and so on. And Rochelle Park, you know, has parts of 4 county roads running through it. So I'm just here tonight. That's why I'm pointing out Rochelle Park. I've been visiting many town meetings and going to Fort Lee Town Council meetings as well. So those 4 county roads, Essex Street, Railroad / Central Ave, Rochelle Ave, and Passaic Street. So as you know, the county has jurisdiction over these roads, and so the town cannot make any improvements on them, even if you wanted to. So as of now, the town has to ask the county to make changes, but the county has not made a formal commitment to consider safety, access, and mobility for all users. So in effect, leaving everyone, but especially the most vulnerable people, elderly children, people with disabilities, people who cannot afford cars, on their own. And so they don't have a playbook of pedestrian and cyclist improvements, and they're missing out on a lot of grant money. So we've discovered that the county commissioners are generally in favor of a complete streets type policy, but they do not make the legislation, and it seems, but from talking with them, that the county director of engineering and possibly the county executive are putting up some resistance. So the county commissioners have actually encouraged us. The other co-founder of Bergen County Complete Streets is not here tonight, but they've encouraged us to get towns to sign on to our support letter to put pressure on them to act. And you know, a complete street policy at the county level would allow towns to request improvements on county roads, and also by adopting a countywide complete streets policy, the county would improve their chances at unlocking access to the billions of dollars in grant money that are out there now, and codify the consideration of pedestrian and cyclist improvements in the county's road planning and implementation process. But to be clear, you know, this is not a mandate for them to implement these things in towns, right? It's at the town's request or town's approval. And this could help get more people out of cars and walking and rolling instead, which would increase public health, reduce traffic congestion that seems to be getting worse in Bergen County, decrease air and noise pollution, and bring more customers to local businesses. So we ask you to please consider endorsing our support letter to the county. It could go a really long way toward convincing them to adopt a complete streets policy, or at least to start, form an advisory committee that would recommend something to them. And I wanted to add that I've been consulting with people with the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition, North Jersey Transportation and Planning Authority, Voorhees Transportation Center, and Hudson County Complete Streets, and they have all expressed that it's really essential that towns, you know, including a town like Rochelle Park, to form a pedestrian safety advisory committee first, to identify issues and solutions, and then that makes it possible for towns to access grant money to do initiatives on, you know, local roads, and they may have to contribute some money to get a matching grant for projects on county roads. I can share you some resolutions from towns that have done this. They've already written the resolutions and formed these advisory committees. Right now, I'm collaborating with some Fort Lee High School students to try to get this done in Fort Lee as well. So, you know, making progress. Hopefully, it happens soon. So, yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Hi, Michael Warren, 181 West Older Street. I was going to wear my light blue pants tonight, but Chris beat me to it. So Chris, they do have the complete streets policy. I've emailed it to them. They have the checklist. They have the ordinance that's already written out, or the resolution that's already written out. Team Rochelle Park did sign on to a letter and send it to the county and to the commissioners as well. Mr. Tedesco's office, Mr. Dutch, I think his name is, responded, and he would forward that letter. You know, this is part of what we've been talking about, so I'm not going to go into too much with that, but Chris did a great job, and Chris has been in contact with us. My one thing I want Rochelle Park to consider, again, Dean, I know what you're trying to do. One day it's going to work. We have a lot of empty storefronts, and I really, truly, just from traveling all over the place, as you guys see on social media, when you have walkable areas, you have thriving businesses, and I really think Rochelle Park needs to be a destination town, not a pass-through town. So I hope you guys consider at least asking the county to sign on to it. You know, because again, you are correct. Most of our roads are county roads that our businesses are on.
Not to take Mr. Warren's
That's
time
fine.
away. When I saw that email, I absolutely think this committee should support and send a letter or a resolution to the county pushing for especially on the county roadway.
Yeah, we have a lot of them here.
And we have access to the Saddle River County Park system.
Yes. So besides the complete streets, I just want to say we had our Team Rochelle Park Earth Day cleanup. It was really nice. I think it was kind of successful. I don't know. I just want to thank the Boy Scouts. Andy, he teamed up with us, got us some grabbers. I did learn that the county has a mini grant, so Team Rochelle Park will get a little mini grant for having the cleanup. We did 12 pounds of garbage. I want to thank everyone who came. I know Teresa came, Thomas came. If we'll have another one in the fall, I'd love to see everyone there. It really is a community event. I thought it was nice. And you know what? There's a lot of junk that's on the street that we picked up. And again, this is, I talked to Dave Brown at the shredding, and we were talking about the areas that are really, people throw stuff and it lands there. That was a nice event. So thank you guys for supporting that. The Access for All, Dean and I exchanged some phone calls and emails to straighten out everything. So Team Rochelle Park will be handling the donations, et cetera, for Heart to Heart. We're looking forward to it. Walter's been doing a great job with Access for All, and I'm glad that they're able to partner and work with us on that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was one thing about the budget that I got to mention is that, as much as Miss Boniface does her thing up here, when we talk about having no money for a couple trees, when we've got a lot of incoming dollars, it does frustrate the taxpayer. So, and she is correct, I believe, that as time goes on, we'll see that decrease as more and more cannabis shops open up. So we have to take advantage of that money now, so when I hear we can't afford a couple things like trees or whatnot, it's frustrating. And finally, I'm going to look at this. I did reach out to the arborist just because she's from River Edge. I just want to kind of get her take on that. I just want to make sure, again, as a commission, we have access to the grants, the grant money that seems to be all over the place for a lot of different things. I know I'm forgetting something, but thank you guys for your time, and enjoy your evening.
Did you talk about the liability?
Okay, I'll do that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Warren, I think that it was.
Can address it.
You want to address the liability?
So, last meeting, the Township Committee had a discussion.
The liability, that's what I wanted to talk about.
I read your mind.
Okay.
So, Mr. Warren, do you want to start, or do you want me to do?
I'll just say that we spoke last time about the liability, that having a commission adds an additional layer of liability against events that would happen to protect the township. So was that your findings as well?
So it wasn't, but not, let me explain.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be, in my opinion, in my review, improper for me to tell this Township Committee that you are in some way shielding yourself from liability by having a commission or a committee.
Right, you're not invulnerable, right.
My review is this, is that when you have a avenue for someone to resolve disputes, i.e. at a commission, if you have due process to allow someone to come before a commission and resolve a dispute, it adds an extra level of an opportunity for dispute resolution. And in the event of overall liability, when you have an extra added level of dispute resolution, sometimes resolving disputes at a lower level is more beneficial. However, in reviewing the case and reviewing what I've seen is, the issue always comes down to how the dispute was resolved. If someone wants to sue you, they're going to sue you.
We understand,
Whether they're
right or wrong,
indifferent.
Correct.
So the problem is whether or not someone came before you and disputed something with a tree or came before the commission, if that person disagreed with your decision, they are going to sue you. So I can't say that having a commission, I guess I would say it this way. The decision about whether you want to have a commission or a committee should not be based on a liability issue. The other thing that I didn't get to check that I wanted to, and I'm sorry I didn't get to, was to find out whether or not our current JIF policy would cover a commission. Dean, I reached out to Frank, but nobody got back to me. I did want to get that little tidbit of information, which I didn't have. So in what I reviewed, it doesn't give me enough information to tell you that a commission would shade you from any more liability. But there is an extra avenue of dispute resolution.
Right. These are words from the NJUCF I've been emailing with, and it's a 1996 law that, grants the towns who have a commission, again, an additional layer.
Sure.
There is nobody in reality, I don't know, people don't live in reality, but everyone can sue anyone. I could go home tonight and sue you tonight if I want to, right?
Yep.
The suing is going to happen, right? It's the idea that there are, yes, additional layers of process that, and I would like you to check with Jiff, because the arborist has told us that insurance companies do treat towns who have an issue with trees differently if they have a commission or a committee. So that is something I think I'm glad you reached out for and would love to get an answer from the Jiff. Yeah.
From our current policies to
Yeah,
whatnot. That's
100%.
a question I would ask.
100%. So, no, I'm glad that you looked into it.
Yes.
So, thank you. And we said the two different things, but I think we both said the same thing.
Yeah,
Pretty
I mean,
much.
like I said, at the end of the day, I can't give the opinion that having a commission is going to shield you from liability. But
Correct.
What Mr. Warren is talking about in terms of an extra level of dispute resolution, that would be there unless you decided to, again, deal with it in resolution form with an advisory committee. You could still put something in there to try to resolve disputes. I think you'd be able to do that. But the ultimate decision of the dispute resolution with a committee or commission could result in litigation either way.
Correct.
That's fair, I think, assessment I can give.
Okay, thank you so much. And you'll look into this as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got that. I received it too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Lynn Houghton, West Old Street. We've been talking a lot about 120 and everything, and I believe Linda brought up the pilot program. I'm here to ask all of you, if a pilot suggestion comes up, that you think very seriously about it. Because I've been doing some investigations along with Kathy inside, and Dean was in the last conversation. And it seems, I'll give you some facts. The only one that's completed right now is the storage unit, okay? Pilot program pays, they will pay a annual service charge, which is actually the 10% profit that we net, okay? They pay an administration fee of that figure of 2% for administration fees, and then they pay land tax, okay? Well, this year, the profits quoted for the storage areas was $102,728 approximately, okay? The administration fees was $2,054.00. And the taxes from the prior year you have to calculate. 58,140, okay? This is how it works. You take taxes, and in lieu of, as it says, they pay their taxes. They're mandatory by a state statute, I think, where you can't take away the taxes. You have to have land tax. So that 58,000 gets deducted from your pilot 10%. So of course, right then and there, you're going to end up with a figure of 44,591. Now, if you add the county deduction of a straight 5% off the original 10%, that's $5,136.57. Okay, what you made on that storage area that made over $1 million, and you originally thought you were going to get 102,000 plus, you ended up with $41,509 and some change. Yes, their taxes will go up, but you're still going to subtract the taxes from your earnings on it. So you have to be careful, because they're allowed to deduct many things before they come with a figure that they're going to get, that they're claiming to have made. So seriously, think about it. The pilot program was thought of to help the developer in areas of plight. I don't remember any big bad plight there or urban conditions, but anyway, that's what it started. It's not, you can do your research, towns that have had them and didn't want them, others maybe in an urban area, it did well for them, I don't know. But here in Rochelle Park, just on that one storage, you only made 41,000, didn't even pay the taxes. You would have been better off just collecting the taxes for 58,000. You would have made more money. You have to do your finger work. And Dean, I don't know if you went after this one, the difference between that 254 and the 240, why we're not getting it?
Mrs. Houghton, you gave a number of 58,140. That's from 2020, so I don't know why you were looking back that far. Because in 2023, the storage facility paid $62,437.
254 is what Tulsa claims to the original taxes that was.
Nobody can give me an answer as to where we came from. We think that was our tax assessor at the time came up with that figure based on.
It's in the agreement.
Correct. I was not part of that agreement.
But they only paid 240,000. Somewhere, something's not working right.
Well, they'll be operating under the pilot soon enough, and we'll go from there.
Even Kathy asked you, why is that?
She didn't ask me, not when I was president of you.
That's all. Thank you.
She's the tax collector. She'll ask those questions. Like I said, Mayor, just to remind you, no audit was done on the storage facility until I came in my role and realized that we were required to have one.
Right, especially when I wasn't here, when I was there. Okay, just want to make sure that's said. Bob Davidson, Lexington Avenue. A couple things before I go. Actually, I came here for the sound barriers, but just real quick, reference to the this bicycle situation or the running and everything. Dean, if you look back in some of my stuff, the county was actually doing a study. And it's typical what they wind up doing is spending all kinds of engineer monies and nothing ever gets done. But you'll find there that there was the project was going to go from in our area because we saw all this before, going down a railroad and coming out somewhere along Central Avenue where they'd be able to get into the county park. So there was a project that was out there that they were doing a study on it. But again, it's all engineering. That's what I had told you about, even with a lot of this other stuff. This is where they spend their money. This is how they take care of their people who are getting reelected. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. The other thing is, at what point is the Township Committee going to have a meeting and actually discuss this whole thing about the trees? I think it really needs to be, we've been talking about it for the last, I don't know how many months. Why not actually, in one of your work sessions, have a full discussion on this? I would think that maybe when, Mark, when you're finally finished with what you're doing, or whatever the case might be, that's the time. We need to have these open discussions. I keep on talking about open discussions, that all of a sudden we find out something gets put on the agenda and we'll have no idea how it even happened because nobody even spoke about it before.
So
This one here certainly has been spoken about.
So if I may, the Township Committee previously asked me to put together an analysis about pros and cons, which I had done last month, I believe was, and there was a robust discussion. I don't know if you were at that meeting or not. I don't remember, it was last month or so. The actual discussion that took place in the last meeting narrowed that down to just the liability issue that Mr. Warren had raised,
right,
and Committeeman Miller and Judge had raised, Crivello Judge. So I addressed that just specific to that. So tonight was narrow discussion, but previous tonight there was a robust discussion based on analysis that I previously had done.
Okay, so but where are we? Where are we? Seem to be still stuck.
So there was an initial vote taken, I believe a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah, I was at
and
that
the committee was moved forward with at that time, and the volunteers had applied for that committee. But I think with the budget and the new amount of money that was apportioned towards the committee brought up the conversation again, also with the liability question from the last meeting. That's why it was not a full discussion this meeting, but in a
That's
previous
fine.
meeting, there was one.
I'm just saying, at some point in time, just, let's get moving on this stuff. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like watching these soap operas. I can come back 6 months from now and see the same thing. Reference to Route 80. I have a big concern, because I'm looking at the resolution that's going to be passed tonight. I'm sorry, medications are starting to mess me up a little bit, so, so if I sound a little bit weird, I apologize, but, right, what you're passing here tonight, or to send down to the state, the township authorizes and directs the municipal clerk to forward a letter indicating in support of the proposed improvements to the Route 80 project, qualified road project, okay? What that says to me is that what was presented at that meeting on October 20th of '23, I don't even know who attended that meeting. Do you mind if I sit, please? Do you mind?
Please sit.
Thank you. My concern is, and I mentioned this to Dean, Mr. Pinto, just prior to the meeting, there's nothing that I can see in the proposal for any sound barriers on the Rochelle Park Lodi borderline, basically Essex Street. Now, I think that's a major concern that this town has had it historically, okay? Historically, this has been an issue, and this has been brought up many, many times, and by myself, attending various DOT meetings. So I'm only asking, and I know that Dean had mentioned something on the side that this is what the state provided. Well, okay, that's all well and good. You can still support the project, and I support the project. I have no problem with it. Matter of fact, I'm thrilled that on Long Rochelle Avenue, there will be these sound barriers. But we're missing a major portion right now, and from what I can see, there is nothing along Essex Street. I'd like to know when they even did the study. Was this done in the wintertime? Was it done in the summertime? I mean, does anybody know? If I can just ask, who attended that meeting?
Just so you know your questions, you'll be 3 minutes before he answers. If someone.
Listen, I think.
No, I'm not rushing you.
Okay.
Just asking you to wrap it up.
You're asking me to wrap it up because nothing about you. But you from Fort Lee, you sat there for at least 5 minutes and you're going to tell me.
That's you over 4 minutes.
Thanks an awful lot. I really appreciate it.
No problem, sir.
Are you ready for me? I'm sorry.
Well, I do have other questions, but I'd rather get one answer at a time.
You know what that meant? So I attended that meeting. It was a Zoom meeting, of course, with the state. It was just myself and members from Woodland Park.
Elmwood Park?
Woodland Park.
Oh, Woodland.
They kept the two of us together because we're the outside portions of the job.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you were mentioned on that call because you were part of the project when they first started looking at it and pushing and advocating on behalf of the township for the sound barriers, which would start where they currently end in Lodi, at Essex Street and just south of Railroad Avenue, just sort of the railroad tracks is where they would end again, because I believe there's already some up there.
Right, correct.
The portion of Route 80 that continues into Lodi was not discussed, nor would they probably have discussed it with Rochelle Park or Woodland Park at that time. So I had to sit through the Woodland Park portion, which had to do with a lot of drainage issues in their jurisdiction. So, I mean, for us to get these sound barriers, I thought was a great thing, and I think it's still a good project to do, but there was no mention of East.
And again, I'm not disagreeing that it's a great project. And this, I mean, something that the town has been looking for years. But it's a half-baked cake. Okay, that's how I look at it right now.
And unfortunately, this project's probably about 16 years out.
Listen, I've seen other articles, there's a minimum 10 years or whatever the case might be, but I'm still going to fight for it. I fought for it before, and I'll continue to fight for it. And the whole point of the matter is that all I'm asking for is that, because you are, from what I'm reading here, you're agreeing with the project as it was presented.
Proposed.
Or proposed that time. Okay? So all I'm saying is that we can continue to support the project, but that you have a concern, minimum, at least a concern, of not having the sound barriers along the Lodi-Rochelle Park border. That's what I'm asking for.
So could we do that, Mark? Could we just amend the language that we support it, but do wish to see a sound barrier at the Rochelle Park Lodi border?
I think they proposed.
I would have to go back.
Yeah.
So any changes to that resolution, we need to go back for approval with the other side. Before we just did that one-sided, I think something like that would need to be, right, Dean?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, normally what I would do is, make that change in red line and whatnot, send it back for approval to the other side, make sure they're on the board and they don't have voice any serious objections or concerns. If they did, then those things would be discussed. But that's normally the way that I would negotiate it and then come back to you guys and do it. That's normally the way to do it. Instead of just doing, you can't do it one-sided. And if they fought me back, I would report back to the Township Committee on that.
Yeah, listen, if they fight back, that's a difference.
And there makes a decision, you know?
Whatever, but I think
That's how it
we,
is.
minimum, I think we should at least make the attempt. You know
Yeah,
what?
it's entirely up to
If
Township.
you don't do it, you're never going to have the
I
opportunity.
just don't know if we have jurisdiction only because it's Lodi.
That's my issue. You know, I don't know if we're gonna have, I think that's how.
I think we should send a separate letter or do our own resolution saying we prefer to see the sound barrier continue in an easterly direction
As a
in the
request.
borough of Lodi, since it was done on the eastbound side of the highway, we'd like to see it.
Yeah,
on the
more as a
westbound side of the
request,
highway.
because I don't wanna get it,
Well, again, I'm also making a request.
yeah.
And the request is that they consider to put again, because, I mean, believe me when I tell you, the residents in our area, I mean, where we get bombarded with the sound that comes across the highway.
Sure.
Okay? I mean, you can hear the motorcycles running along Route 80, going into Patterson. Literally, it seems that you can follow them all the way up to Patterson.
Without giving away too much, I live probably 8 homes away from Route 80 in Elmwood Park where there's no sound barriers. I hear your pain.
And the whole issue.
But also with the parkway down by the maze, you hear it all the time. I mean, I understand what you're saying,
So I
Mr.
think
Davidson,
maybe-
but I don't know if you could, I don't know if we have that jurisdiction going up Essex Street there. That's Lodi, isn't
I
it?
think we could voice a concern based on the residents that live and hear the noise bouncing off of the eastbound barriers that we put up.
Becoming an issue.
But I think to change this resolution,
I think,
I mean, I don't know what credence they would give it anyway.
Why can't we?
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be a
100%
separate.
I
request.
think a separate resolution.
What would be the best way to request?
So you could do one or two things. You could pass the resolution and you could do a letter request, formal request, or pass another resolution with the request, or depending upon what you guys want to do, you could table the resolution, then I just go back to the other side and say that this is a request they have, in which they'll probably tell us there's no jurisdiction. Who knows what they'll say? But,
Well, why don't you find out?
any one of those things.
But why wouldn't we pass, and this is just my opinion, pass this resolution and then ask for that letter of request? Because
Once
it's
you have a
disturbance.
past resolution,
Let me finish, Mr. Davidson, because it would be considered, I don't know if it's in our jurisdiction, because it goes up Essex Street. I know what you're talking about, but with that being said, it is a nuisance, which we have a nuisance policy that would be for the residents over
this
by
is
you.
definitely a quality of life issue, there's no
It is a
question.
quality of life, it's a
And
nuisance.
the whole point of the matter is that Rochelle Park is included in this.
Mhm.
Okay, so whether or not the location is in Lodi or not, this is still, they are asking Rochelle Park to support this. All I'm saying is that, Mark, I think you have a much better mindset of just seeing listen, if they say no, and that's the end of it.
My understanding of it is they're asking us to support the portion of the construction that's taking place
Here,
in Rochelle Park.
that's the issue.
Right.
And that's,
Here, yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know I don't believe that if we make this request, whether they do it or not, I don't really think has bearing on this resolution. I think whether they do it or not is because they want to entertain the issue and also believe it's a problem. So making the request with or without the resolution, I don't think that necessarily changes their decision about whether they're going to do it, because this resolution pertains to the part of the project, again, that's within our township border lines.
What part of it is in Rochelle Park?
I'm sorry, in rereading this, Mr. DePizzi, this resolution is just authorizing the clerk to send a letter in support of the proposed improvements, so we can do that and say, however,
we would like to see
the sound barriers continue.
So we can do that. That's what I said.
Yeah, I know you wanted to
We can
change the
add that.
resolution. I'd rather in the letter
We're
we.
all talking about the same thing.
So,
okay.
I think we're all talking about the same thing.
that concern.
Yeah, that we have this
Right?
concern from residents and it would
I
like
think I
to see
said
that. Yeah. Yep.
All I'm trying to do is get something here because, we've been fighting for years for this and to just walk away, this doesn't make any sense.
So we could just have the township committee take note that included in this resolution, we would like a notation with regard to the sound barriers in the letter.
Yeah, we'd like to see
Everyone's in agreement with that?
Yeah. Continue, since
See attached.
the resolution pretty much talks about the project from, on Route 80, from Riverview Drive to Polyfly Road.
Right.
So we would say we would like to see the sound, while we support the project in the Township of Rochelle Park, the sound barrier improvements being made, we also would like to see sound barriers installed on the westbound side of the highway from Polyfly Road to Riverview Avenue.
And again, as far as I'm concerned, on our side, we're not even worried about Polyfly Road. I'm just looking to go along the load I bought.
Go big or go home, Bob. We'll just do it all.
Well, I'm just- listen, I don't want to make sure and they don't want to do it.
I understand.
So, all right, that's,
Thanks, Bob.
no, thank you.
So we'll have to, you want to amend this to add that?
I don't think the resolution needs to be amended.
I don't think the resolution.
The letter that we sent.
I think that the letter that we sent, everyone is in agreement that the letter that we send in connection with this resolution is going to add the notation that Mr. Davison brought up regarding sound barriers, and you can pass the resolution as is.
Okay.
That's okay.
Correct, I agree.
Diane Verhassel, Forest Place. 3 questions. One, with COVID long over, is there a reason why the court is still virtual as opposed to being back to regular court? Second question, oh God, I don't know how many months ago, we had talked about that the secretaries for planning and zoning would be sending, every time they pass or give somebody permission to do something on their house and they put in any kind of specifications, it was going to be sent to Jimmy DiMaria so he would know to follow up and say, okay, did you do X, Y, Z? From what I understand, he has not received some of those things because when calls have been made to him about certain things, he doesn't know about them. So we were told that they would come from planning and zoning every time they made a decision. The secretary, when she writes up whatever she writes up, it would go to them. I don't know if that's happening or not. And my third thing, I would like to just make a suggestion. It seems very arbitrary when people come up here, whether they get the 3 minutes, whether they get 4 or 5, or we had somebody at the last meeting who spoke for a while. If you're following Robert's rules, it makes a suggestion of 10 minutes. I'm not saying we should go to 10, but I think maybe go to 5 would be nice. You just have residents that are expressing concerns. And for them to be told, 3 minutes, sit down. It's been said to people. I mean, last time I had 3 minutes, which included answers, and you told me I was done. So I'm just making a suggestion, I think, for residents to come here. I know I'm up here a lot, I know several other people are, but you have new people come, and they're expressing a concern or whatever, and I think to at least give them 5 minutes would be nice. I think it's inviting your public to feel that they're represented by people, as opposed to 3 minutes, sit down, we don't want to hear anymore. So it's just a suggestion, and like I said, Robert's rule says 10, so if you kind of cut that in half, 5 would be nice.
So, in answer, because she brought Robert's rules, Mayor, if I may, it's entirely up to the Township Committee in terms of what they want to do. The mayor is the chair of the meeting, so the mayor is responsible to make sure the meeting moves forward efficiently. There are times when there's not many people in the audience. There are times when there's 100 people in the audience. So I think the Township Committee and Mayor needs to consider those things, because you're right, everyone deserves the opportunity to speak. And if we allow everyone 5 minutes and you have 20 people in the audience, 20 people at 5 minutes, it's already 9:30 at night. You don't want to have people sitting here till 12 o'clock at night, especially if they're seniors. So there does need to be some understanding with each meeting that comes along. If you have 5 people in the audience, obviously it would make sense. If you have 20 or 25 people in the audience and they want 5 minutes each, you're talking about a considerable time. So that's a comment I'm making to the Township Committee based upon the past couple of meetings in which the mayor has said, please wrap it up, but has not necessarily cut everybody off. The mayor's the chair of the meeting. He's got to make sure it moves forward efficiently. That being said, if the Township Committee as a whole feels a certain way, then the Township Committee can make that decision.
Maybe
It's
make
really
it
never
5
cut off
minutes.
in 3 minutes, that's what it usually goes for.
Last meeting,
3
when part of my
minutes on the
3
dot?
minutes was included getting answers, I was told to sit down, my 3 minutes were up.
I think there's a fair amount of trying to be fair, if I may do it, but you have to understand that certain times, based on how many people in the audience, every person getting 5 minutes, if you have 20 people that want to speak, that is a significant amount of time, especially if you have seniors in the audience that probably don't want to be here till 12 o'clock at
Well,
night.
let's not keep picking on seniors
I'm
because.
not.
Hold on,
I'm
There's
not.
a number of people in
So,
here.
I'm not, but I'm just.
I understand if you have,
Sure.
if you have something where it requires 20, 25 people to get up. First of all, I also look at it as if you ever have a meeting like that, then there's a major concern going on with 20, 25 people. In general, our meetings have 3, 4, maybe 6 people. If there's a major thing like tonight, there were several people here on a different issue. But I just think it would make the public feel more respected if there's a night that you see it's running really late and you say, okay, we need tonight because there's so many people to cut it down, I understand that. But in general, to tell people, whether you say, okay, run it out, finish it up, whatever, it's still making the public feel that, in general, maybe that's not how it's meant, but it comes across as you really don't want to hear what they're saying, or you don't want to hear their questions. And I think it's respect to the residents that care enough to come here. And some of us are speaking for neighbors that don't want to come because they feel that way. I mean, there's times I brought issues that my neighbors have asked me to bring up because they didn't feel comfortable coming. And I just think, in general, it would be a nice thing to say to residents, express your concerns, you give us an answer, you don't give us an answer, but I just think it'd be nicer for the residents, that's all.
Understood. Majority of the people that do come up have full access to Dean, and he's more than willing to answer the majority of the people that come here. Talk to him almost 2, 3 days a week. So it's usually people who aren't here, like you pointed out, he went out a little longer because he wasn't here. Everybody that comes up here calls Dean constantly. He answers every question.
Well, I'm not questioning that.
No, I'm just saying though, so that's why we try to limit the times.
But if somebody comes to a public meeting because they want to speak to the township committee, not one specific, if you have a question you have to ask Dean, that's fine. But if you want to talk to the whole committee, you should be able to not feel that they don't want to hear everything you have to say.
Understood.
All right. Anybody know why the courts are still virtual?
If you want, Mayor. So that came down from the AOC, the Administrator of Courts, from the state level back during COVID. As you know, that's why the state still does virtual hearings on Route 80 projects, and the county still does virtual hearings on certain things. It's from a higher authority. Our judge has started doing some in person, and as he sees fit, he will add more in person if needed.
Because I know people that try to go to today's meeting, not myself, I wasn't there, and they were told, oh no, it's virtual, and if you don't have a case, you don't get to get on. I'm telling you what they were told. I was not there. So they asked me,
Well,
do
if
you
were
know
not
why
there-
it's virtual? No, I
Yeah,
wasn't, but
Yeah, so I can't know if that was actually sent to them. So
Well-
I will follow up the court, but the judge, I don't know. I mean, can he limit access when it is just virtual?
but why is it still virtual?
So,
Just from the state?
you want me to answer?
Yeah.
So I'm in 2 courts and they're all fully virtual except for DWIs and domestic
Correct, and that's
cases,
pretty
which
much
happen
where we're-
once a month. And that's all virtual. There has been a directive or I don't know how I want to call it, from the AOC to keep things virtual because they feel, I don't feel, they feel it's better and it's more efficient. I can tell you that most prosecutors don't feel that way, but we don't make that decision. So in my experience in the courts I'm at, again, there's 1 session a month that's in person, which is DWI and domestic violence, and traffics are always virtual. Some courts are hybrid, but most courts are still virtual.
Now, I guess as someone who's at the court, maybe I have a follow-up question. The usual people that would be at a regular court, I don't know who else is there, bailiff, I mean, I know prosecutors, I would assume are there, et cetera, but are those people not there? Because when Tommy was talking about the cost versus what you're making.
Yep.
If you're virtual, shouldn't the cost be less?
Yeah, I would think so, but every court is running differently.
I mean, I don't know what is
Every
involved.
court and how they attack this virtual thing is running differently and is doing it differently. I have some courts where I am still there in person, but everybody else is virtual and there's still a bailiff there. I have other courts where I am in my office and there is no bailiff there. So I think each court is operating differently depending upon.
And we've actually changed. So when we had our previous prosecutor, they were in person. Our current prosecutor was virtual. You're still paying that person. He's the prosecutor.
I'm not
You're still
questioning
getting
the
paid.
prosecutor
Well, so there's
or
not much
the
change because so the
defendant.
bailiff we've had a couple of recent sessions because we've had some of those DWIs, those domestic violence. So when you have a defendant in the courtroom, it's cheaper in the long run to have a bailiff here than to pay, a police officer or something else.
Yeah,
So, and then the staffing really, there's how many different breakout rooms that are being managed. Listen, I don't care for the Zoom part of it, but it's outside of our.
They asked me, and I said, I have no idea.
I would rather have everybody.
Have them call and ask for Patricia. She'll I'm sure fill them in. Our court
Lance will probably
administrators.
do what you said, the same thing. Okay. And do we know if the information is going to Jimmy about?
I will follow up with both secretaries. I have one here.
Oh, no, I know. And I know Anne Marie's just recently done it, taken over, so.
I
don't think we've had a meeting.
Yes, but resolutions go to him, so I don't know what project you're talking about.
Except, I don't go to the planning meetings and zoning, but
Okay,
people
so-
that have, apparently, we've had the discussion how they don't have the enforcement ability versus.
But if they're doing any kind of work that needs a permit, he's well aware of it.
Correct.
So if you're talking about something,
So maybe, it's led,
if you
how the information is led to a public, I guess, is different than what you're saying, okay.
So if someone comes before the planning board or the zoning board for whatever, if they need building permits, they're gonna go to the building department. He's the construction official, so he's gonna know. When the planning board or zoning board does a resolution, and after it's adopted it goes to the construction official zoning officer, which is James D. Maria. So I don't know.
You should
what
be
you're
aware of it.
talking
Okay,
about.
I'm going by what.
I mean, and if I may, Mayor, and I've said this before, to go to a zoning or a planning meeting to make a code enforcement or a zoning complaint is really a futile effort. It's the wrong place. It's a delay because there's times where zoning board won't have a meeting for 2-3 months. Call the building department or use the SDL app, go online and get that complaint in and it's followed up
I'm not
immediately.
making complaint.
No, I understand. I just want everybody to understand that. I put it out into the public numerous times because to wait for meetings it doesn't do anybody any favors. And I know the mayor just read the building department report, how many zoning inspections were done. So we know there's inspections being done. We know there's notice of violations being issued. So I don't know who's telling you, but they should call me during the daytime. I'll be happy to have that discussion.
People have expressed stuff.
I know, but
and the chairs have constantly repeated, we don't have enforcement abilities, blah, blah,
correct,
blah,
they
blah.
don't.
Go to the building, go to.
I'm not doubting that. I guess the chair people need to send that to the people that come to the
No,
meeting.
but they tell the people at the meeting.
Now, their basic statement is we don't have any enforcement capabilities,
I
nothing
can
we
tell
can do.
you, I can go back.
Just
and look at
recently,
it.
maybe, but that's how it used to be. All right, I will let them know. Thank you.
She wants us to enforce, but we can't, it's better than you do.
Can we close it?
Yep, at this time, see anybody come up and ask for a motion to close public portion?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Passetti?
Yes. May I ask for a motion to open the public hearing of ordinance number 1203-24, ordinance for the calendar year 2024, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. May I ask for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Passetti?
Yes. May I ask for a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance and that it be adopted with notice of final passage to the public and the Bergen record? Get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Passetti?
Yes. All items listed below are considered to be routine and not controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed The consent agenda considered in normal sequence of the agenda as part of the general orders. Resolution 024-111 through 024-117.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Deputy Mayor Peachy? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Pacetti?
Yes.
Next work session, May 8th.
Next work session will be May 8, 2024 at 7 p.m. Make the motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All-
Aye.
All right.